Always technical difficulties, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not even fair. Come on. Just slide in there. There we go. All right. Welcome, everybody on YouTube. Kirk's on tonight. I hope you are. All right. That's my chair. That's my thing. I'm going to make sure all the mics are working. Hopefully CT joins us soon. All right, I got that. Let's see about this. We'll go to YouTube. All right, here we are on YouTube. Welcome, everybody. Let's see what it looks like. Let's see where we're at on YouTube. Just working out the technical tonight. Already had technical problems. All right, there we are. Hey, Super Nash, talk.
Yeah, brother. What's happening? Hello, everybody.
All right, we got good sound.
Trying to get started here with Filmland Spirits is who we'll be reviewing and talking to the founder and co-founders of tonight.
Yep.
Glad you're joining in with us. If you got any comments, make sure you share them to the Facebook or to the YouTube page live that we're doing, and we'll try to get them answered. And if you got a special pour, especially if you got any of Filmland Spirits, join in with us while we're doing a tasting.
Welcome, everybody, to the podcast. Please be patient with us. Let us know where you're from and what you're drinking. And we try to monitor super chats. All right, Filmland Spirits tonight, everybody. There's YouTube.
Yes.
Now I'm going to go back to Facebook. There we go. We're both on there. I'll share to Messenger. Man, the whole thing went down on me tonight. Wasn't fun.
We're back up and running.
Yes. I won't be able to share to the groups again because I already spent my wad. If I do it again, they'll just get mad at me. This should be fun tonight. But Super Nash is coming through. That's for sure. Filmland Spirits, I mean, I'm excited. I think for where they
Cracked
were.
open this bottle that my wife got me about 3 years ago at the Kentucky Bourbon Festival. Moonlight Mayhem. This tasting pretty good.
So you got the Moonlight Mayhem, and then I also have, and I sent you the sample of the Ryes and the Robots.
Yep. Oh, you sent me 2 samples. I got the Ryes and the Robots, and I got
yeah, this is the cast strength.
Yeah. Mine is the extended cut.
There you go. We're just sharing to the groups, people.
Yep. Just give us just a few minutes and we'll start rocking and rolling. Theater style. How's everybody doing tonight?
All right, who else? Walter. So, all right. All right, here we go. Send separately. All right, I've got that going. Go over to YouTube. YouTube. Get out of that. Okay. I should be. Man, the whole thing went down on me tonight. You should be able to catch up live.
You almost sounded like CT on that,
Did I?
on the playback.
All right. So it's working. All right. So it's working. Good. So I'll try and monitor those. You got to monitor what you can. I'm going to monitor what I can, and we'll go. If you see somebody making a comment, we got this out of the way. We're ready to go. All right, real quick, we'll do our promo. Whiskey Thief Distilling Company out of Frankfort, Kentucky, along with the Louisville, Nulu area at their tasting room. They've got the Three Boys Farm at where their main distillery is. And then they also have a tasting room. But at both locations, live music. One's indoor, one's outdoor. Now, they also have 5 barrels set up on the floor. You walk in, for the price of admission, you basically get to taste, and it's thiefed right into your glass from 5 different barrels. Normally, a rye, a wheat, and then you'll have 3 different bourbons. Rye bourbons, and that range from different times. Hello.
How's it going? Sorry to interrupt your conversation.
Nope, you're not interrupted. You're not. Glad that you're on. Welcome.
Thanks.
Welcome.
Appreciate it.
And excited to do
share it
this
to the
tonight.
groups and
So I'm Steve. I don't know if you've seen our.
No, I did. I checked it out real quick. I saw that you were
Okay.
Steve. It's Canepa, right?
Canepa. Yeah, you've got it right. That's very rarely pronounced correctly the first time. Great. It's usually a cane paw or Canepa, but you got it perfect.
Yeah. Okay. And
Hey guys,
Hey Tony.
how are you?
Troy.
good.
Gosh, sorry.
I can't believe you got Canepa.
I'm
and not
Super
Troy.
Nash, by the way.
Well, yeah, I
Canepa-
just
Canepa's much easier than Troy, so
yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Sorry about that.
No worries. You'd be surprised how often that happens.
Well, I'm horrible with names, but actually lately I've been getting better. I don't know why, but it just seems there's other things that are going by the wayside, but I'm able to remember names a little bit better lately. So I don't even know what to think of that. It's supposed to get worse.
Must be those old age vitamins you're taking.
It probably is.
can you ship some of those over here? I'll trade you whiskey for old age vitamins.
All right.
Yeah, so we're gonna once everybody's on, we have I believe okay. Hold on. So Troy, Steve, and okay, hold on. It's coming. Why is it not? No.
Are you talking about our other partner?
Yeah, your other partner.
So he actually had a family thing just come up, and he's not going to be here, so you don't even have to remember his name.
Okay. Hey Nash, help me out there.
I wanted to
It's,
see how he butchered the word Charlie, though. That was
Yes, it was Charlie. Thank you. There it is. Oh my God! And it's like I've been writing posts for the last 3 days with all of your names, and that's just nuts. All right, yeah. So
Well, hey, at least we don't give you our name and then a nickname like we get with you three. We have to remember 3 names each for you guys.
yes, I go by Tiny. Martin here goes by Super Nash, and
And then we got CT, right?
yep,
CT.
Yeah.
CT should be joining us.
Yeah, he should be on here just shortly.
He'll be coming on soon. What we usually do. We're live on Facebook and YouTube, so we get all the technical stuff worked out. And honestly, We just probably, what would you say? I probably just got the technical. There was some technical difficulties, but we got it worked out before. There was
We just got them figured out.
It was a new one where I had to basically, I was live on Facebook, and then all of a sudden I wasn't live on Facebook, so I had to go on live on Facebook through the Zoom meeting on a separate live from Facebook. I don't know how that happened.
Makes sense.
But that's the kind of fun stuff that happens. And our Facebook following when we're live is decent. We get anywhere between 3,000 to 5,000 people that'll watch this in the next couple of days. And then probably about tonight, we usually get around 1,300 that, will check in and check it out because we belong to a lot of whiskey groups and we kind of dump the feed in there for people to be able to check out what's happening. And then on YouTube, anywhere, it just depends on what the night is. Sometimes we're in the hundreds, sometimes we're in the thousands, but I'm getting ready to start recording, and what happens is on YouTube, we're going to be vertical because everybody's going to be watching live on their phones, and that's the way it works. But then what I'll do is I'll switch over and I'll record this meeting at a higher res, and in about a week, next week, about Tuesday, it'll be Monday or Wednesday, I'll upload it, and then there'll be the high-end, high-res, horizontal kind of good-looking podcast. But for some reason, it doesn't do as well because it just doesn't match the phone format. And I don't know to this day why people will look at their phone vertically and, but they don't want to turn it horizontal. Like, what is that? I mean, do you realize how, when you think about it, how much
it's easier to hold in your hand?
It doesn't matter. It's just a rotation. All you got to do is rotate it.
But if you're holding it in your hand, it's easier to hold in your hand straight up and down.
I didn't say it wasn't. But it's like you sacrifice so much just to hold it, vertically. There's not a lot, how it looks and everything. I don't know.
Well, I'm going to give you a theory for out here in California. Out here in California, they hold it vertically because it's easier to drive that way. Because that's all I see is people driving and holding their phones. So it must be because they figured they can drive easier. It's illegal, but they do it anyway.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And the speed limit's 70. Yeah, and they do it anyway.
Flying out to Los Angeles here on June 11th. My brother-in-law's getting married out there.
Oh, cool. Wow. So whoever's picking you up at the airport, tell them to plan ahead.
I actually already got a car rented and all that. Yeah, I know it's crazy.
Yeah,
that's where my mother and father-in-law live there in just north of or south of Santa Barbara there in Ventura.
Okay, yeah. I'm in Thousand Oaks. So I'm between.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That's where my brother-in-law lives at, is in Thousand Oaks.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's where you're seeing me from right now. Yeah, so they're building a rail system that goes for a few miles out of the airport to kind of go in and out, and it's to prepare for the Olympics coming up. It's not quite open yet. Hopefully that'll alleviate some of it, but man, it's been brutal.
I know the 101 is crazy out there. I know. Yeah, about 10 years now of experiencing that traffic and all that.
So you're better, yeah. You know to be patient. That's good.
Yep.
I've lived in LA for 34 years, and the airport has been under construction for all 34 of those.
Well, yeah. Every time we fly in there, and now it's like my mother and father-in-law. Why don't you fly out of Santa Barbara and go out of Santa Barbara Airport, and because that's what they do all the time now.
Santa Barbara Airport's great.
It's a beautiful airport. It's not only convenient, but the architecture of it and just the ease of in and out. Now it doesn't have a lot of flights, and more often than not you have to connect. But if you can possibly find it where it works out, even if it's $50 more, it's well worth it. It's
like a small, beautiful train station.
Worth it to get out of that LA traffic.
Yeah. Yep. The other one that's possible sometimes is Burbank, and the drive from Burbank Airport into Ventura, you go kind of the back way. And that's not that bad of a drive. So if you find something in Burbank, you can make your life a little easier too.
Awesome.
The reason why, Steve, I know your last name is because you have the exact same last name as Jim Canepa, who was our head of Ohio Liquor for what? It had to be about 6 to 8 years. He's since moved on to cannabis because he did such a good job in Ohio with turning around, the whole, what would you say, control state. He basically took it from a negative and turned it into a positive. And so I kind of met him a couple times and knew him. So that's why I was able to.
Yeah, I have a lot of family, either direct or indirect, on the West Coast because my family migrated from Italy to the West Coast for the fishing industry. But I hadn't really met anybody, and some of them aren't real relatives, but we share the last name. I hadn't met anybody in the middle of the country with the same last name as me yet, so that's interesting.
Yeah. Let's see. All right, I'm updating this. Yeah.
Hey, Nash, are you going to monitor Facebook comments tonight?
Yes, sir. I got it.
I don't have my extra phone, so I haven't been able to do it the last couple of times.
We got it.
Oh, what just happened? All right, let's see. There we go. Get that.
CT, we didn't get to say hello, so nice.
Hi, guys.
Nice to meet you, CT.
So, I'm trying to remember who was at KBF. Who was it the last couple of years?
I was. It was 2023, September 2023.
I met you then because you had the setup there with the tent and all the curtains, and it was very cool. But yeah, I remember because I had just got one of the bottles behind me after that event because Blind Pig did a barrel pick with you, and that's where that
right. Yeah, and they're on their second barrel pick.
I met you the same year. You probably don't remember it, but it was very, very little short time. But in 2023, my wife came back after we came back from one of the days at the festival, came in, and her and Tiny's wife had been out shopping, and she picked that up for me.
Very nice.
And actually just cracked it open today. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
So one of the ones we're drinking tonight, the extended cut rye, and then this one, the Town at the End of Tomorrow, those were launched at that Kentucky Bourbon Festival. That was the first time anyone got to try them. So that was a pretty eventful. I wasn't there, Troy was there, but I got to hear all about it after he got back, and it sounded like a good time. I hope to get there someday.
Yeah, it was a great experience.
Are you guys going to be there this year?
We will not be there this year.
Are you going to be at any other festivals in the area around? I think. Well, you weren't in New Orleans.
An event.
You weren't in New Orleans, but you were in New Orleans, right? You guys weren't there, but you were represented.
No, we're not, because we're not distributed in New Orleans yet.
Okay.
We're in Louisiana. We just did an event in Frankfurt at the Kentucky Castle.
Oh, cool.
Oh, yeah.
How did I miss that?
A few weeks back. It was awesome.
Oh, wow.
And then we do a lot of things, like a lot of tastings on our own at liquor barns and things like that in June and in the summer. The Kentucky Bourbon Festival, and I don't know, it's possible they've changed the rules again, but the reason we didn't come back is because the state kind of cracked down and made them follow the rules, and the rules said if you don't have a Kentucky DSP, you can't pour, you can't even touch your own bottles. And so they set up a separate tent in like the parking lot where the church is, and they brought some brands in there and gave them a table, and then you had to have bartenders pour for you. And so it was a little, if we were in Kentucky, we would do it, but the amount of money it costs to come across the country to do it and not even be able to touch our own bottles, it didn't seem like it was the best use of our funds.
Well, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That completely makes sense.
Yeah.
Also, right. So I think the rules keep changing more and more every year. So I would just keep up on it. At one point, it would be great to have you guys there. I mean, it's
There would be.
We would love to come back.
and you know, there's so much you can do as far as a festival like that, as far as putting on a show, especially with you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, definitely. We would love to come back. So we'll figure it out.
What areas are you what are your distribution? We're going to get started in a couple of minutes, but what is your distribution area?
We're in one form or another. We're on back bars and in stores in 19 states. And then the retail partner who runs our online store, I think they're shipping to 43 states or 42, something like that. So it's a lot of California, Nevada, Washington, Arizona. We got a little bit of a presence in Alaska, really, really minor presence in Florida. And then we're in Texas, obviously Kentucky, Kansas, Illinois, New Jersey, New York, Michigan, and I'm forgetting a state, I'm sure.
Colorado.
Okay, so
Colorado, thank you.
well, you're in Michigan, so my son
Colorado.
so that means I go up and see my son. I'm in Ohio. He's about 5 hours away from me, but he's in northern Michigan, so up in the wine area, right on the lake, right up there. So it's
Yeah, we've got pretty good distribution in Michigan. We're in a bunch of Total Wines and a lot of independent accounts, some really great accounts. When I was there last fall, whenever it was working the market, we drove all over the place.
okay. All right, so the way it'll go is when we start, because we're gonna record. So right now we've been on Facebook and YouTube, and we just stay on that. But the podcast, when we record it through the audio that go on to Apple, iHeart, and all the the podcast networks for the audio, how we go is we usually get about 45-second spot that you won't hear because it's recording for the audio, but then you'll hear our theme song. And then we're just going to go right into it, and I'm going to go over your last name, pronounce it so I don't screw it up.
Sure, Bolotnik.
Blocknick. Okay.
Bolotnik, yeah.
Okay. Blocknick. All right. And you know what, Steve? I got it right the first time, but I might get it wrong the second. It's just how it goes.
You can't offend me with that. There's no
All right. So I'll get it going, and this way we're, everything we're talking about is on all the formats. All right.
Sounds good.
Sounds great. Yep.
All right. Welcome
Here we
back
are.
to another podcast of the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. Tonight we're joined from the guys at Filmland Spirits, Steve Canepa and Troy Brodnick. Did I get it?
Bolotnik.
Botnick.
Close. Bolotnik, yeah.
Bolotnik. Man, I told you I was screwed up. Anyways, Troy Bolotnik. Okay, so there we go. I'm sorry. Anyways, all right.
Okay.
Great to have you guys on tonight. It's kind of the just getting into a little bit about Filmland Spirits because it's a unique brand from a lot of different ways. I mean, even how you guys started, it's kind of like the label, and then the whole horror movie thing. I mean, you have this story, and then we really want to dive into it. And now, after what year did you guys start when this started to happen?
So I started working on it in earnest full time in September of 2020. And then we were a company by about March of 21. And we ended up launching in September of 2022. So we launched in 2 states originally, in Kentucky and California, home of bourbon, home of movies.
Well, that's awesome. Now, we also tonight are being joined by Super Nash and CT. Welcome, Super Nash and CT.
What's up, everybody?
We've been together so much lately,
Everybody.
it's almost like we don't even have to introduce ourselves anymore. It's just us all the time, right?
And I don't even have to say people's last names. I can just say, hi, Troy. Hi, Steven. How are you guys? 'Cause nobody needs to hear it get butchered or said wrong. So we're just, it is. I listen, half the time when I look up Nash's phone number in my phone, I have him under Nash. Like, that's it. Like, if I got called out on the spot, what his actual name is, sometimes I would probably miss that. I'm a one name guy. Like, I know he was this.
So
I think he wants to be. I think he wants
remember
to
that
change it to put it under super, though. I think he'd prefer that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm
label for the next bottle coming from Filmland. It's Super Nash.
Oh, wow. Can't wait to see the artwork for that.
Oh, it's not good. It's not good. It's already
Not good.
been thrown away several times. They didn't like it.
I was like, so talk about, getting into, you guys, you started, but why did you start? I mean, what was the reason why you guys got into this?
What was your inspiration?
Yeah, sure. So myself and one of our other partners, Charlie, who unfortunately last minute couldn't be here, he and I have known each other over 30 years. And he used to live in LA, but then he moved to Atlanta a long time ago. And just many years ago, kind of separately and together, we started getting into bourbon. And then we decided one year to meet in Kentucky and go to distilleries. Right. And back then it was easy to go to a lot of them because you didn't need a reservation and there were no lines and you could just show up and end up hanging out with the master distiller and they're pulling out their jug of their special recipe from under the sink that no one else has ever gotten to try. And we just fell in love with all of it. Right. We fell in love with the bourbon, of course, but the people and the culture and the cocktails and the art and the science of it. And so on one of those trips, we said, we're going to do our own brand one day. And we both went back to our lives and we would meet there every year, but we both had jobs or things going on. And during that time, I was experimenting with different ideas. And then I had this corporate gig and I left it in 2020 in the summer. And I kind of looked at myself in the mirror and I said, I've been saying I'm going to do my own brand for so many years. I got a chance to do it right now. If I don't do it, I'm a liar. And I'm not a liar. So I decided I was going to just throw myself in full time. And then another friend of mine was here in California, was helping me get this off the ground. And we were banging our heads against the wall trying to come up with a concept. Like, I knew I wanted bright, eye-catching labels. That was sort of the foundation of it, because I spent so many years, like all of us, walking up and down the aisles and the bourbon aisle and saying to myself, why why do bourbon labels, why are they all beige and brown and pictures of dogs or birds or horses on them? Why can't we have fun like wine or craft beer or vodka or rum or tequila and have bright, colorful, fun, immersive labels, but still have ultra premium, award-winning liquid inside the bottles? And so that was sort of the concept, but couldn't come up with like what it was going to be. And my friend we were in his backyard and he started interviewing me because he's a podcast host. So as if we were on his podcast, he started interviewing me and he kind of cut me off as I was talking and said, "Hey, Troy, the passion that you're talking about that you're talking about film and movies and writing is the same passion you talk about bourbon, and find a way to do them together." And like Filmland Spirits just like came out of that immediately. And the B movie concept was like instant because we were like, we just wanted a playground where we can have as many ideas as possible and be as nutty and creative and crazy as possible. And B movies just lent itself right to that.
Yeah, and the labels aren't just, B movies like horror movies of now. They're the B movies of horror movies of yesteryear. I mean, that the artwork and everything that you got going on is, the 1950s, early 1960s, the Wolfman, or there was a lot of B movies that were done with westerns too. That same kind of artwork that you've got going there. So the colors are great and everything, and yes, the label's cool. I mean, even the cork is a movie reel. So that is definitely impressive. So then,
thank you.
Just now noticing it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think like when we met you in 2023 at Kentucky Bourbon Festival, it was the thing, there's so many people set up, there's so many craft distilleries, and then you have, of course, the legacy brands and whatnot. And it's hard for us even to go around and meet everybody. I know this year there was people that I intended to talk to that I just didn't get time to. But we did meet you, and it was the draw to the bottle, that was a big thing. And I think at first it was like, okay, this bottle's really cool. And then you listen to the story a little bit like you told then that you would tell at the tent. But I'm going to tell you what, the bottle itself, from the glass to the label, is the most intricate bottle that I don't know that anybody puts the amount of attention into a bottle that you guys do. Because the bottle, like the embossed logo across the top, the reel across the bottom in the glass.
The bottom.
It's like, okay, so that's one part. Then, like Tiny said, the cork. But the label, when you read the label, it's you have everything you could ever want to know about the product, and probably a little more. Like I need Nash's glasses to read some of this, but very detailed. So definitely that this packaging draws the consumer in, and we'll drink it here in a minute, and we already know the result of that, but this is a great start to getting people to the bottle.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Our story we tell about a little bit to be nostalgic about the bottle as adults now is we remind ourselves when we were kids, and it'd be the morning, either Saturday morning or maybe before school, and we'd get our cereal box and sit at the kitchen table, pour some cereal and some milk, and we'd flip the cereal box around. There'd be a puzzle, maybe a jigsaw or a crossword, and some games and some brain teasers, and we'd sit there and eat and kind of enjoy whatever that marketing genius put on the back of the bottle to keep us interested. And as adults, we want people talking to each other. We don't want them staring at the whole time, but just to say you're sitting on your own sometimes sipping, you got something there that you can enjoy a little bit and read and find something new. And there's Easter eggs within the label that you might see the fifth time you look at it. You didn't see the first four times. So it's a lot of thought and attention to detail when everything, and appreciate you noticing it. I mean, it's we don't want to have to always be the one to say, hey, look at this, look at this. So when someone notices it naturally, it really makes us feel good. So thank you for that. You
could take about 3 to 5 minutes reading that label and looking at the bottle. It's not one you just pick up and it's like, oh, it's a brand. If you actually sit there and read it, it's in depth.
All right. Okay. Before we get into the whiskey part, okay, so I was a commercial artist in another lifetime. Worked on the Quantel graphic paint box, one of only 13 different computers like that in the United States. And so we did a lot of those movie poster type things for advertising and everything, and it was really cool. And then now, do you have was there a specific artist who was doing your labels? I mean,
So to give you a little bit more background that leads into that, Charlie, who we've mentioned a few times, he and I a million years ago used to be screenwriters, and so we kind of combined our passions, as I mentioned before, and we actually created an original script for every one of our products. Right. And it's on purpose. Like you mentioned, it pays homage to the B movies of the mid 20th century, like robots and monsters, big over the top characters and plots. Right. And then we create the poster for that script, which becomes the label. Right. And you got the whole story and the characters up front. One side of the label is all about the movie. There's a synopsis, there's character headshots and bios. There's a QR code there that if you scan, you can watch a trailer, interact with storyboards, read script pages, download the poster. And the other side's all about the award-winning liquid that's in the bottle that I know we're going to get to and talk about, but it tells who we are, and there's some tasting notes. And then we try and be as transparent as possible. So everything we can put on that label is there, from where it's distilled, where it's bottled, the mash bill, all the way down to the char of the barrel in which it was aged, right? And so our process varies a little bit. But typically what happens is I will get an idea, and then I will just start going into Photoshop and start playing and mocking things up. And one day I'll show up to the team and I said, I've got this idea, or that idea we talked about a year ago. I just, something came to me this weekend, and I'll make 20 or 30 versions of it and then bring it to the team. And we will rip it apart, from every angle, like creative and marketing and sales and all the different angles. And then I'll keep revising and revising until we get something we all love. And then once we get to that point, we will bring an artist in to recreate it from scratch.
Okay, so so the world has changed since that process. And if you saw any of our social media, myself and CT, it's unfreaking believable what AI allows you to do in the amount of time. Are you guys kind of excited about this, or I mean, honestly, what you just described to get to where you're at, now you can just basically reference one of your other labels and just basically tell it what you want, and it will come up with. I mean, it's just nuts. What CT? Because I asked him, I didn't have a lot of time. Asked him to do the promo, and what it did with the bottles, put it up, used all the labels, put them all in the side. It's just amazing. I think I might be able to share that with you guys. Let me see photos.
Yeah, I think it's probably like we were saying. It's. You like the art, I'm sure, of making the label and designing it, but AI definitely brings a new element, and maybe it's not the finished product's going to be AI, but it does give you some creativeness to be able to use in another way,
Right. So I've been using Photoshop for well over 30 years, and I've been creating computer graphics since 1980. And so until AI became what it was a few years ago, I would use found elements, right? Use Google image search, and I'm like, hey, I'm looking for a woman in a spacesuit from the 50s, and I find that, and I throw that in Photoshop and do that. So what's really changed is I don't have to go scouring for those things. I can just prompt and have AI create mock-ups of those things. It's not, the tools keep getting better literally every day. It's not as easy as people might think. Like, even to create a mock-up of one of our labels still takes hours and hours and hours with AI, and to get it consistent, to get it to kind of look close to what you want and create the elements that are in the same style, it takes a lot of work. But I definitely use AI now to mock up the labels because it is faster. And then we kind of look at it like this. It's like special effects in a movie, right? There's a time and a place and a use for them. Nobody would make, an action movie now or a sci-fi movie without special effects. But years ago, people, and computers have been generating a lot of that animation for a long time anyway, right? Pixar movies are not hand-drawn, and they're not frame by frame even drawn by an artist. The in-between frames are all generated by a computer. So it's just a different tool that we can use for different things right now. And it's certainly, it's a conflict for us because the art is so important to us and we love it, but we also are business people and we have to be practical. And so the question becomes, hey, if I can give you an amazing bottle of bourbon for $65 that has a hand-painted label on it, or I can give you the same bottle of bourbon for $55 or $49 that has a mostly AI-generated label that looks beautiful, which should I do, right? And our answer to that is, until now, it's been the hand-painted artist. Our answer now is we're going to do a little bit of both, right? So, like, we do have a $40 product coming out soon that is a Kentucky exclusive, right? And it's the first time we've been anywhere near that price point. And part of the reason we were able to get there with just as good, if not better quality liquid is because we're doing some of the artwork differently on this one. Well, and by the way, some people think it's the best label we've ever done. And I still consider it done by an artist because I'm an artist, right?
Right.
And
myself too. I mean, honestly,
right.
As an artist, I just can't believe, the first time you use it, it was just you're just like, what? Really? That just made everybody. There was a musician that he had done some work for us, and he was talking about how AI was starting to take away some of his work. But then he showed me his album cover that he created through AI, and I'm just like, you do realize it's got to be one way or another. You can't do on one end save yourself a ton of money by not having an artist do your album, and then on the other end you don't. So it really comes down to you're right. It's a tool. I mean, if you gave Andy Warhol AI, he's going to come up with some creative ways, and as artists, that's what our job is to do. It's kind of like sometimes it really frustrates you because you're just asking it to do a simple thing and it won't do it. Well, if you have the ability then to go into Photoshop and do it yourself because you just got sick of trying to get it done, it's a great tool.
Yeah, and even the label that I'm referring to, every single aspect of it was done individually, and then I spent hours in Photoshop getting it and Illustrator to get it to where it needs to be cohesive. And we don't use AI to write, right? Because we don't need to. Right.
I have to write everything because it's amazing. My mother-in-law said, she made mention to my wife, she's like, his posts are a lot better. And I'm just like, yeah, because you can write. You don't need to. I have to do it because otherwise I sound like a fourth grader.
Right.
So before we go to drinking these, while you're on the subject of the new bottle, so is it you said it's a Kentucky exclusive, so only sold in Kentucky, or is it a Kentucky distillate?
It is Kentucky distillate.
Nice.
And it is only going to be sold in Kentucky. It just got finished bottling today.
Wow.
And it'll be with our distributor in the next few days to a week. And then a couple of weeks after that, it'll be on store shelves. But it's only for Kentucky. So either you live there or you're a bourbon tourist and you'll have an opportunity to get it.
Oh, I'm going there. Don't worry.
You always go there.
Wait a minute.
About every other weekend he's there.
If I could just chime in a second on the label topic. I think a nice way to think about it is we think about that the same way we think about blending what's in the bottle is open-mindedness to everything. And our conclusion is we have a standard of what we're going to put out there. Yeah. So the standard on this new bottle, although it may be at a lower price point than our most expensive bottle, is the same standard we keep. We may have been open-minded to a few different ways to get there. And the same thing happens with our artwork and our labeling is that we will never shut a door down and say no way. But we also have a a theme to the company that we always want to maintain. Don't want to give that up. And I think that goes for the inside for sure. What's inside that bottle is number one on our mind, and we will always have some. But even on the outside, there's certain corners we won't cut. There's certain things we won't do, but we're open-minded to almost anything, and we'll listen and talk amongst ourselves as a team and figure it out. And sometimes it is, a little bit of a financial decision. I'm the CFO of the company, so sometimes I might weigh in a little bit more, and sometimes I may be outvoted. So I think that kind of carries on throughout the whole company.
And the thing is that, we love the labels and we talk about them a lot because it's a differentiator and it's exciting. And we love the stories and we love that it's immersive. But the majority of our effort and the cost of goods is in that bottle. It's the liquid, right?
Yeah.
And what's interesting is we sort of get hit both ways with it, because there are sometimes that people look at us and they go, "Oh, you spent all this money on the bottle and the label. The liquid must not be very good." And then if somebody thinks our label is AI made, they go, "Oh, I can't believe you're cheaping out on the label." Right, so we hear it both ways. Good news is we don't really listen.
You can't make everybody. It's impossible to make everybody happy. I mean,
absolutely.
You just sometimes. I mean, honestly, even for just with the podcast, there's some people just don't like the. We're very free, open. There's a lot of technical things that happen and whatever. And somebody, if they want it to be clean, sharp, a TV show kind of thing, I just tell them, that's just not how we are. I rarely do editing. I mean, right. It's just kind of like we go up there, we're live, and it's just, we want the experience to be, whoever's on with us, that we're hanging out and talking about bourbon and, sipping with friends. I mean, that's just what the podcast is. And it's just kind of like, I will say that this is a question as far as the liquid goes now, that the industry, I didn't think it would change as much as fast as things changed. Just a few just even maybe this time last year, we were talking about a barrel shortage. I mean, people were talking about that there's going to be a barrel shortage. Now, they're not. They're what would you say? Recalibrating how much they're making for the future at this moment. And then people, there's been a lot of money made, but at the same time, there's a lot of really good whiskey. The quality of whiskey is up, and the barrels are. There's a lot more barrels available where there wasn't. You couldn't get as well aged whiskey. But how are you guys dealing with that? Is it really kind of beneficial to you guys that you get more available, plus the price is kind of a little bit lower?
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because the reasons that this is going on are not good for business, right? They're not good for anybody in the bourbon industry. But at the same time, the fact that we can put out a Kentucky straight 4+-year-old bourbon at $39.99, being a small company like we are, is partially like the label we talked about before, but it's partially because prices have dropped on bulk spirits, right? And we can acquire really high quality liquid at lower prices than we were able to before. And so that means we can bring, bourbon to a different segment of the audience that maybe wasn't going to spend $60 or $70 or $80 on bourbon before, but to get a chance to have one of our bourbons, $40 is much more approachable. So double-edged sword, right? But we have to roll with it like any business. Businesses change, and we're rolling with it. And we're different, right? Depending on who you believe, the liquor, the spirits market in general is down because Gen Z isn't drinking, right? But if you look at the data, Gen Z is drinking; they're just drinking differently, right? And they're attracted to things that are retro and nostalgic and are about more than just the liquid inside the bottle. They're about a community that they want to be part of and a lifestyle, and that's kind of us. So we have that advantage that was, we were already in that space and attractive to that.
Well, you think about your bottle, you take it to a bottle share or event with your friends. I mean, there's a story going on the whole time you're drinking it. People are like, where did you get that? What is this? I know Nash has got a question. I have one before he starts.
He's had his finger up for a while, though.
I know. I feel bad because I know he's waiting. But before we get on to another subject, so about that bottle, can you tell us what the name is. I mean, we know we have Rise of the Robots. We have, the Mayhem, Moonlight Mayhem.
Mhm.
Tease us with what our new art
But
is.
I'm hesitating because I'm trying to decide, Steve, will Laura kill me if I show the bottle?
Oh, you actually have the bottle.
That would be even more awesome.
Hey.
Just,
Well, Laura doesn't know.
I'm not sure. I mean, we all answer to Laura, so let's take a second break. Maybe I'll give a little clue that I don't think she'll be ready. So, and I'm not saying you guys were wrong in saying that we leaned a little bit into horror, but the next one isn't horror. It's a different kind of a feel to it than horror. So that's a little bit of a.
I say I'm going to show the bottle.
Okay,
Wow, let's do it.
I'm usually the uptight one who's like, no, we can't do this. And I'm like,
Oh
what?
my God, guy, you guys got a whole new Tony or Troy, whatever his name is.
Hey, if Super Nash is on the bottle, I win.
Right. That would, if he is, then I'm really good at AI because I would have just done it
absolutely.
right now.
And quick, too.
All right. So it's okay if you're going to have to give me permission to share my screen.
I can do that.
Because I don't physically have the bottle yet. They're all in Kentucky.
All right, let me see here. All right.
Just while he's doing that, all I wanted to say was, Troy, we got a comment from Kurt from Montana. He commented exactly what you said a while ago. He says, I have accounts in Colorado and seen the bottle firsthand, and the art was so cool. I thought, yeah, they must be making up for the Jews. But then he's like, oh, wow, now I'm really finding out different. So it looks like I'm going to have to go back, reschedule a trip back there and grab a few. And then he said, great job, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I love it. I was going to say that the thing that every single product we have put on the market has won a gold or double gold medal at the most prestigious blind tasting competitions in the world. San Francisco, Barleycorn, TAG Global Spirits Awards, right? And you can say, all right, if we put one or even two of ours won a gold medal, maybe it's a coincidence, maybe we got lucky, right? But Steve, myself, and Charlie, we are the blenders. We taste every barrel that we own. We have an extensive database of tasting notes. We try and taste every barrel every year. We certainly taste them again when we go to do a blending session. And we designed what this tastes like. We make sure it continues to taste like that. We experiment with all the new products. And so we've really put our art and our passion and our science into this to make it great. And then you get everything that we put on the market keeps winning. And these are difficult competitions to get a gold at. Forget about a double gold. So it speaks to what we care about most. We're bourbon nerds. We're whiskey guys. The liquid in that bottle, our names are on every bottle.
Yeah.
And there's no way we're going to do that unless we are incredibly proud of every single drop of liquid that goes into every bottle.
There's a difference between a gimmick and being passionate. And that's the difference. For you guys, you're passionate, so you go so extensively through the bottle because you want it to represent what's in it. Whereas some people, let's make the sticker look cool and hopefully they'll buy it. That's not the case.
And almost everybody who's had that opinion and appreciate the comment from Montana and glad that he's given us a second chance is almost everybody we've talked to whose first impression with that finishes with the second statement. And then I tasted it and then I realized it wasn't. Like we've never met one person who goes, I thought it was a gimmick when I saw it and I avoided it. And then somebody gave me a pour and then I knew it was a gimmick. No one's ever said that. They always finish with now I get it. And then I always tell folks who might have that opinion, just watch one podcast Troy's done by himself or we've done together or Charlie and Troy have done. Just watch one, because if you hear the story behind it, you'll know that it wasn't a gimmick. Now, some people don't have the time to do that in peace, but there is absolutely no doubt that what we care about is what we put in that bottle, much more than what's on the outside. Now, the outside is a blast. We have so much fun with it, and we're our harshest critics on that stuff. So we just want to have fun on the outside and be super serious on what's on the inside.
Okay, so can you...
Anybody watches the podcast, they'll definitely see the passion that you guys have and what you put into it.
Troy, can you hit the share button right now?
No, it's still saying sharing is not turned on. You can request. Okay, I'm sending a request.
Yep,
Let's see if that helps.
there you go. Now you can.
Yes. So, Laura, I apologize in advance.
You can blame it on me. I'm used to it. It's good.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Let's see, where's it at?
Yeah, that's more mystery and detective
Oh.
right there.
Oh,
Right.
man.
The Crimson Cask.
Nice.
Right.
Almost like a Humphrey Bogart.
Yeah, a very 1930s, maybe into the 40s film noir, but an over-the-top story.
Wow.
That's cool.
That character that's behind the detective,
Mm-hmm.
the face looks familiar, but I can't quite place.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'll
Almost
give you
looks like the Undertaker's manager on WWE.
Here's a full shot at the whole
That's
label.
exactly. Whatever that guy's name is, that's what it looks like.
Oh, that is cool. Wow.
Oh, that is
So-
awesome.
I'll give you the story. Scarlett was never quite the heir her bourbon baron father hoped for. When he's found crushed beneath a barrel, her name scrawled in blood across its staves, only Cutter, the bottom shelf gumshoe she was never supposed to love, can help clear her name. She may not be guilty, but she sure as hell ain't innocent.
That's an
That's
awesome,
awesome.
Yeah.
awesome story to it. Yeah.
Yeah, we're super excited about it. We love this one. And like I said, we've had people.
Silas Cross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun to be able to be at that price point is just, yeah, wow.
So the people.
And our blending session of this one was so enjoyable too, because we definitely have had an idea in mind to make something a little more approachable, a little more affordable than what we have, but we're never going to compromise and just water something down and put it on the shelf at a cheap price. And so the blending, the tasting of different barrels, putting together different mixes of those, it was such a good experience, because when you get the results you want, and again, without sacrificing the quality of what's going to be there, people are going to, I know they're going to spend $39.99 and be very, very happy. Just knowing that as we were blending it, makes us feel amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People on the audio, the actual name was the Crimson Cask. So that's really kind of a cool. Now, what's the stats on it? What's the proof? What's
94?
It's 90 proof.
Oh, 90.
Yeah. And it's a 75-21-4 mash bill, which is the same as our Moonlight Mayhem, but this is Kentucky juice, so completely different.
flavor profile?
Yeah, totally different flavor profile, different distillery, all of it.
Yeah. Now your what you've been working with Filmland. What is that? What were you working with that? What state are you working with that?
Oh, okay. So our core products, which are Moonlight Mayhem Extended Cut, the cast strength bourbon, Ryes of the Robots and Ryes of the Robots Extended Cut, our core products are MGP. Proudly MGP. We get our barrels from MGP, and then we bring them in and we age, blend, and bottle them in Kentucky. So they've all been in Kentucky for a long time before they go into the bottle. So we're getting some of the benefits. So we got this incredible distillery that doesn't know how to produce anything that's not delicious. We bring it in. We do very, very small batches. So like if you ask one of the big boys what their small batch is, it's 5,000 barrels, right? Our batches are 7 to 12 barrels. That's it. And we've done some that are smaller because we have designed a particular flavor profile that we love. And because we have such small batches, changing out one barrel or a portion of a barrel has a huge influence on the flavor and all the mouthfeel and all the characteristics. And so we have the ability to kind of dial in very precisely and continue to produce a liquid that matches exactly what we want.
And
Our limited releases, I'm sorry, go ahead.
you'd probably have to double it to make it and that takes a while to go from 7 to, you'd have to go to 14 instead of 8, that would probably be what would happen, right? As far as if you were going to make bigger batches.
Yeah. Yes. And we can, and I think we've had 12. We had one limited release that's current right now, Quadriforce. That was a much larger batch because of the nature of it. It was very unique, and we had to use everything all at once with it. We can talk about that after we get through the stuff that you guys are going to taste. But it just our core products are MGP. Our limited releases vary. They're all over the place, right? Some like Quadriforce comes from all over the country, right? And then we've had another Town at the End of Tomorrow, the poster over Steve's shoulder, which was we released at the Kentucky Bourbon Festival in 2023. That was our first limited release. We were only in a few states at the time, so we only made 600 bottles of it, and it sold out immediately. It's a Kentucky straight 9-year-old bourbon.
And I absolutely kicked myself in the butt for not buying that bottle.
Me too.
Well, I can tell you,
some news for you.
Yeah, so CT, since you do go down to Kentucky, I'm sure you hang out or spend some time at Justin's House Suburban in Louisville or Lexington.
Oh yeah.
So after, they're good friends of ours. They're big fans of the brand. They started coming to us and saying, "Hey, please do a single barrel for us of Town at the End of Tomorrow." And we said, "Absolutely not. We're not doing that. Our single barrel program is on Moonlight Mayhem Extended Cut." And then they came back a few months later and asked again, and we said no, and we kept saying no until we said yes. And so they have the world's only Town at the End of Tomorrow single barrel, and I know they still have some left, at least in Louisville.
Nice.
You better get there quick, CT, because after tonight,
tomorrow's Friday.
Yeah, tomorrow's Friday. You better go, because after tonight there might not be any left. After you just mentioned, that's where to go get it. That's
they're great partners of ours.
Yeah. Actually, Mark Carter, Old Carter Social Club, is like right. I don't even know, kitty corner or like adjacent or above them. Above them. Mark's like, I'm late. Just go down to Justin's and have what you want. And that's when he said that, that's a loaded question, because they have some stuff that wouldn't take advantage or anything like that.
Yeah,
great place.
Right, so
I love the Justins.
What do you want us to drink first? Let's get into drinking some of these.
So you have Moonlight Mayhem Extended Cut and Rise of the Robots Extended Cut?
I'm going to ask you guys a question that I know the answer to. Do you mind if I drink with you?
Oh, hey, wait a minute.
You guys, we demand it. We demand it.
I have an answer for your question, but you have to go to your own website and ask your little robot.
Okay. We can do that.
Your little robot came on and was asking me if he could help me, and then I clicked the X, and then I turned back, so the screen goes off, and then your robot's doing this.
Yeah. So what you're referring to is called the Filmologist. So the Filmologist, our tagline for the Filmologist is AI or A-hole. And the Filmologist is it's a customer service chatbot, an AI-driven customer service chatbot that will check your order status.
Looks like a bartender.
Looks like a bartender. It will give you cocktail recipes. It knows everything about our products. It'll give you discount. You ask it for discounts. It gives you discounts, all kinds of stuff like that. But it has a crappy attitude and a potty mouth. And so as long as you're not easily offended and you're willing to be insulted a little bit, you can get what you want out of it, but it's definitely going to give you some crap.
Isn't that what all whiskey drinkers want? We want some people to give us shit. We give it.
Yeah, I just thought it was hilarious because, like, I'm already on, like, the mailing thing, but it brought up a thing if you wanted a coupon, and I'm like, I don't want the coupon, I'm trying to, and I exit out, and then immediately that robot's flipping me off, and I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah, that is,
I've yet to check it out, but I will.
It's Troy's personality in my bald head on that robot.
So start with Moonlight Mayhem Extended Cut, the bourbon.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I did get them all samples of what you sent, and we appreciate what you sent up. That's
thank
awesome.
you.
Absolutely.
And so Laura, she's the one that contacted us, and and now we're kind of hanging out. I appreciate that. But what is, you said you all have to answer to her. What? Tell me how Laura fits into the whole thing.
Well, I like to think of myself as a servant leader, right? Like I'm here to serve my customers. I'm here to serve my team, whatever I need to do to get everybody where they need to be. So I'm the founder and CEO. Steve has about 75 different titles with us, as you mentioned, CFO and treasurer and all those things. But of course, I know Steve's most proud of being part of our award-winning blending team. Charlie is the VP of Ops, but also product development as my co-creative. Kristen is our head of sales. She's been in the industry a long time. Kristen Kilpack was at Jefferson's for a long time when they were coming up. And Daniel Clark is our head of marketing, and he's been in the business a long time, as well as at Pernod Ricard for like 10 years, doing marketing for their craft spirits acquisitions brands like Jefferson's and Rabbit Hole and that kind of thing. Laura is our head of PR. So Laura, who is, she's been in the industry a long time. She focuses on the spirits industry a lot, and she is incredible. And so we're joking to some degree, but I go to, she's the expert, right? And I say, what do you want me to say and not say, right? So that's why we're joking. She supports us. In what we're doing, and because I know she's home writing the press release for Crimson Cask right now, so she's probably like, "Do you still want the press release?" Because she went and blew it.
Well, where Laura's been very instrumental is to address the topic we had a little earlier. Is when we launched, we knew what was in the bottles were good, and we won these awards, and we thought people may pick up on that and not judge us a certain way, but we found that there was a little more of those. It must be a gimmick kind of comments, and we probably preferred. And Laura, along with all of us on the leadership team, we want to do more things like this. We want to get out there and talk more and see our faces more and hear our voices more. So our social posts used to be a little bit more about the bottle, the art, the trailers, but now you'll see our social posts and then more of these type of podcasts and talking to folks like you guys is so that we can get that message out. It's not 100% one way or 0% the other. We probably just changed the proportion of that. But Laura's been very instrumental in helping us get the word out and having us meet folks like you, and it's been great.
Where you guys have a problem with Laura is that there was probably 5 people today that asked her what that new bottle was called and if she had any information. She said no, and now you're dead.
Right.
You're dead. Oh yeah.
The good news is she's probably listening right now and watching, but she's on the East Coast, so hopefully she'll go to bed before this is over, so I don't have to deal with it till tomorrow. No, Laura, her name is Laura Pate. Her company's
she's watching.
Pate, yeah, I know. Laura is the best, and I try and tell her that, and we try and tell her that all the time. But and the way she has helped us and expanded how she helps us is beyond impressive. So,
well, if she wants to, we'll find out if she's watching. She should just jump in for a second. She has, I did give her the link.
I would love it if she does. She typically does not like to be on camera. I know that. But Laura, if you're listening, you want to come on.
Yeah, feel free. And then also she's like, she's like sending me pictures of you guys, right, to use and whatnot. And she's like, here's one. And it's like, that's me 20 years ago.
That was the one I did of Troy. Troy was like, yeah, that's a good picture, but it looks like I was 20 years older.
Younger. Yeah. Oh, so, I mean.
Yeah, this is good. Oh, wow.
So Moonlight Mayhem Extended Cut, right? This is a gold medal winning cask strength bourbon. You'll have to tell me what the proof is on it because each batch is a little bit different. So I don't know what the proof is.
115.
115.
115. Okay. And so the thing that's cool about this, Steve will tell you, this is his favorite. This gets, in addition to the gold medal from San Francisco, it gets incredibly well reviewed. So a couple of years ago in the winter edition of Whiskey Advocate magazine, they rated 150 different bourbons. They gave us a score of 93, and that tied it for best bourbon out of all 150. And then you guys, I'm sure you know who Peggy No Stevens is?
Of course, yes.
We do.
Yeah.
Yes.
So a couple of years ago, I hadn't met Peggy yet at the time, and she called me up and she said, yeah, I rated your Moonlight Mayhem Extended Cut for American Whiskey Magazine, and I gave it a 9.1. And I said, oh, okay. And she goes, no, I don't do that. And so then I went and looked, and the last thing she gave a score like that to ended up winning Whiskey of the Year that year. So incredibly high praise. And I've since gotten to meet Peggy, and she's wonderful, and I know she's a fan of the brand, and we're huge fans of hers. So it gets really, really great reviews, and people just tend to like freak out and love it. If you're a whiskey aficionado, right? If you're someone who knows whiskey, or even if you don't know it well but just enjoy it, this is where you're going to end up gravitating to.
This is a 21 rye.
Yes.
Yeah.
75% corn, 21% rye, 4%.
Got that cherry cola note.
Yep, it really has that cherry aspect, and
Cherry's coming through.
honestly,
But it also has just a sweet, like a dessert kind of note that I haven't put my finger on yet. But it's really good.
Thank you. So when we were blending this the very first time, I think we blended it for the first time in August of 2022. We're in Kentucky, and we pulled a lot of samples from a lot of barrels, and we were tasting like crazy. And we did it. We picked certain barrels and we put them together, and we're like, hey, this is pretty good. I'm like, all right, well, let's put it aside for a second, work on something else, and we'll come back to it and see how we feel. And like a minute later, I remember turning to Steve and to Charlie, and I was like, are you guys still tasting new things? Like the finish just kept going and going and going. And we're like, it just kept evolving and changing. And we're like, yeah, we're putting this in a bottle. This is amazing.
Yeah, and that's what makes it fun too, is when it does evolve. Like it's not one note or two notes. It's like, wow, I didn't taste the vanilla cream pie that was there before, but now it's definitely there.
So
What I'm sorry.
Brown sugar crumb topping on a cobbler. It is coming through.
go ahead, Steve.
I was just going to say, when I watched some of your guys' other podcasts, what I appreciated and what made me really look forward to tonight was you guys picked up on the idea that we can buy 50 barrels from MGP, and someone else who's really good at blending could buy 50 barrels from MGP, and we could make a batch of 8, 9, or 10 and come up with a completely different flavor that is Filmland Spirits cast strength, or even, lower proof version of that. And that other great blender can come up with a version of their own, and they're not the same, and we could both love each other's whiskeys. And you guys pick up on that nuance so well, where others we have to explain that to over and over. And we try to make this unique to us, even though it's a very widely produced mash bill. But by doing small batches, and by Troy and Charlie and I tasting every one and documenting and keeping a catalog of the flavors of each one, we can find a unique flavor and then replicate that flavor. And our motto is the next version of this is going to be as good as this or better. It's never going to drop in quality. So it is fun, and it's also rewarding.
Well, it's so open for you guys. I mean, honestly, even if you wanted to do, there's so much because of what's on the market and what you can get. You have the ability to create a lot of different stuff, but even right now you're kind of sticking like for Kentucky bourbon, and you got the Indiana and MGP, but there's people now, they're blending to blend, and they're mixing barrels from different places, and there's nothing that is there to stop you now. And now there you go. Okay.
Yeah.
I mentioned this earlier. It's called Quadriforce. You see that little gold medal hanging from it? That's the real medal. I didn't make that up. So Quadriforce is a super unique bourbon because we made it by blending 4 bourbons originally distilled in 4 different states, right? And the result is actually a 4-grain wheated bourbon. And then we took that singular liquid and we put it into bottles with 4 different labels. Each one of the labels features one of the 4 Quadriforce heroes, and each one of the heroes represents one of the 4 states of distillation. So you have Kentuckiana is on this label. We have one with Tennessee Terra. There you go. We have Cali Comet, and then we have Mr. Misteron, who represents that 4th state of distillation, which is a mystery. And so Quadriforce is super unique. It's exactly what you were saying, Tiny. 4 different states, incredibly risky for us to do, right? Because we could only taste samples from those 4 states, and we had to make little tiny blends as a sample and say, is this going to work together at scale? Because you can blend in a little beaker and it can be great, but then you go to scale and it's completely different.
Oh yeah.
And so we took a huge risk dumping tens of thousands of dollars of bourbon together in a tank,
Well, I mean, think about, like, you sit there and you make a blend that you put together in a matter of time, how quick it can evolve, like days. It's totally, it can change that quickly. So there's an art to blending that I don't think every consumer really understands it, but they drink things that they pick up in the shelf every day that have been through that they probably like more than just the single barrel that's never been touched.
Right.
Well, it's also the key is buying who you're buying from. I mean, if you're good bourbon in is usually then you get good bourbon. So if you're buying good, properly distilled and aged bourbon, you usually you take a risk that it might not be perfect, but at the same time, there's a really good chance what you're going to get. There might be an odd thing that happens, but overall, you're going to get something decent. But when you're mixing it, aren't you expecting something surprising to come out of it? Like, flavors?
Right. So a product like Quadriforce, absolutely. Yeah. Right. But that surprise could be a bad surprise. Right. So,
yeah. You don't want it to taste like a bean burrito.
Right. So with our experimental limited release kind of stuff, yes, we want to be surprised. We don't want to be surprised once it's in the bottle. We want to be surprised when we're experimenting and getting to that place. Right. And I think we did okay with Quadriforce. It got a 95 in Wine Enthusiast, which, if you guys know that magazine, even for a wine, that's a crazy score. For a whiskey, it's off the charts. So we were super proud of that. But when it comes to our core products and the MGP juice, look, there are barrels we get from MGP and we taste and we look at each other and it's a thumbs down and we're like, this would never be a single barrel. I'd never want to sit and sip this, right? It went too far one way or whatever. It got it's got too much of the sour taste to it, or it's way too sweet or watery or whatever it is. We get everything. But we also know, we've done this so much now, we know, like we make a blend and we go, oh, this is just way too sweet. And they're like, well, wait a minute, what about that barrel we all hated that was too sour? Let's try putting that in and see if it pulls this, and boom, we end up exactly where we want to be. So, because, like you said, it's a distillery like MGP, where everything that comes out of it is going to be at a certain level, no matter what. You're just going to get stuff that leans one way or the other. And then we get the advantage of, because of those small blends, being able to use that to really have large shifts in flavor profile and mouthfeel with just a little bit of a change.
Yeah.
So maybe a new limited edition batch that's coming out. The label is going to be this crazy looking mad scientist from like the Frankenstein movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's got to happen.
No, honestly, you got to have your Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, right?
Right.
There you go. You got the mad scientist and the monster. So that would be Dr. Jekyll would be your batch, the small batch version, and then Mr. Hyde would be the
extended cut.
Yeah, right.
There you go, extended cut.
Yeah.
So what was the age on this? Is this around 9 years?
No, but that's a great compliment. Everything we put in a bottle, by the way, is always going to be at least 4 years old, because we don't age state, not because we're trying to hide anything. It's just because we don't typically handwrite on our labels. So each batch is a different age, and having to figure out a way to print labels with a different age, it's just logistically too difficult. Most of the time, our core products have gotten to the point where they're 5 to 7 years old.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't have, so MGP 21s for me, they'll get buttery on the mouthfeel at around 9, 10, some of them, not all of them.
Mm-hmm.
This one doesn't have that, but it's got a nice mouthfeel that's more like vanilla kind of base, I guess is a good way to put it.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it definitely works. And this is priced at what?
It is we can't set the store prices.
Right.
SRP is $79.99. I see it sometimes for $74.99, and I see it for $83.99, but it's right in that range.
Okay.
You should be able to definitely get it for under $80.
So
sweet honey notes going on in there too. Great mouthfeel to this too. I mean, it just coats the mouth. Nice viscosity to it. I mean, just hitting all the right spots there.
Okay, Nash. Now you're getting a label with your picture on it.
That's what we're shooting for. Super label.
You just don't put them on the extended cut version. We need to see the extended cut needs to be like Nash, but like on steroids.
if you're going to put him on a label, his head's going to get so big. You just have to like have some sort of a big head syndrome on the label.
Tiny did a picture of us for one of the podcasts, and it looked like I was on steroids. It looked like me and CT both were on steroids. It's like, oh my gosh, that don't look nothing like us. And he loved it, but we kind of didn't.
Yeah, I think I commented on it. Take the AI away.
Yeah. We were trying. We called Roxy up. That's his wife, and begged her, please take that AI away from him. He's going crazy. This was like about a year ago or so, and it's like take it away from him. Just begged her to, and she's like, no.
Well, so the antithesis of the whole AI label conversation we're having is, so I mentioned I mock up the labels and we bring in an artist to recreate them from scratch. And until our latest limited release, not what I showed you before, but until then, all of the artists we brought in would paint digitally, right? So they got a tablet and a stylus and they're working in Photoshop or some other paint program, right? And which is great. But then we have a limited release. I have it here. It's called Moonlight Mayhem 2, The White Port Wolf. This is actually, we took our double gold medal winning Moonlight Mayhem, age stated it at 7 years, and then finished it in white port wine casks from Napa Valley. Won a double gold at TAG last fall, and is about to get an incredible score in a very prestigious magazine that I may have mentioned a few minutes ago. It's embargoed until May the 18th, so we can't say it.
Sorry, do you need to apologize to
Laura again?
To Laura again?
Yeah. but maybe. But anyway.
He's not even drinking and he's just letting all this stuff out.
It's been a long day. My guard is down. And so with this one, we met up with an artist based out of the Portland area called Anton Kimball, and he was making movie posters in the 80s and 90s. 75-year-old wonderful man who hand painted every aspect of this label on canvas with paint. This thing did not touch a computer until he delivered the canvases to us, and it had to be scanned in, and then we assembled the label. So
wow.
The White Port Wolf herself is a painting, the moon is a painting, the couple, the car, everything is separate. And I have the canvases in the other room here, which is really, really neat.
And that gets to what I was saying earlier, guys, is we're open to so many different things to make something that people will enjoy. So we talked about the Crimson Cask in one method, and then you see White Port Wolf there was another one, and what's inside is fantastic, and with a little bit of different perspective on how we came up with the outsides.
And that bottle is still available on your website.
Yeah, that bottle, it's in stores. It's a current limited release. Quadraforce was from the season before, so it's almost gone. You can still find it in some places, and you can still get bottles on our website, but it'll be gone by the fall. And Moonlight Mayhem White Port should be around till through Christmas.
Okay.
And the cool thing about the White Port label is if you look at the label we're drinking, which is the Moonlight Mayhem, you'll see two main characters on the front, and the story Troy and Charlie wrote continues. It's the sequel to that story, and those two main characters are down here with the White Port Wolf being prominent, but the story on the side takes those characters from the first label that we're drinking and continues their saga, and they're still on this label, just in a little bit of a subordinate role with the White Port Wolf taking over. Troy's not going to take credit for that brilliant artistic mind of his, and Charlie too, but we not only make whiskeys that continue. This is Moonlight Mayhem finished in White Port, but the story continues, and it's where I sit back, because I have none of those genes. I don't have any of that ability, and watch these two create this experience for people who are enjoying the stuff inside, and then also enjoying the stories that continue here and on the website.
How detailed are the stories? I mean, are they little books?
No, we create the script.
Okay. So
you can go read pages from, we don't publish the whole script,
okay,
but you can go read pages from the script on our website. You can, and we have the trailer and interactive storyboards, which, kind of play out some of the pages of the script as well.
So it's kind of like it's like the outline of the movie before the movie shot kind of thing, or is the script even more detailed than that?
Yeah. So not to get too inside baseball, but in the film business, the outline of the movie before you write the script is typically referred to as a treatment. You write, a 3 to 10 page, full paragraph description of what the story is going to be. But then you got to write a script, a screenplay, right? And the screenplay is what the movie is shot from. That's what it's filmed off of. So we write treatments and then we write screenplays.
Okay. So is one day?
That's what I was saying earlier.
One day it going to be a movie?
Look, I always say we're not in the movie business. I did that. I left that on purpose. We're in the whiskey business. That is what we do. Now, if somebody rolled up with a wheelbarrow full of cash wanting to make a movie, I'm not going to say no.
Well,
but it's not. We don't actively.
Well, just know that in New Orleans, if you can get in there by next year, they basically the venue now is renting out the top floor of a mall, and they also rent out the theater. So they are planning next year to use the theaters way more by showing all the documentaries. So that would be cool if you had like a 20 minute kind of thing that goes with your whiskey and you were there. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that makes sense. I get it. But you're still, I love the fact that through the whiskey and the blending, but then you're still, I'm the same way, being a commercial artist for first 40 years, and then the last 20 years I've been a plant manager of my cousin's recycling plant. But I also have been a fine art, done commercial fine art, computer fine art, mixing the medium between computer art and acrylic painting. So I understand exactly what you're doing, because you have the desire to keep doing what you've always done because you love to write scripts and stuff like that. But it's a lot more fun when you're writing the scripts and you're the guy that's like everything. So you don't have to be you don't get the feedback that's critical that what happens when you're actually writing scripts for movies, because that's frustrating, right?
Yeah, and that's one of the several reasons that I decided I didn't want to professionally be a screenwriter many years ago when I said I'm done with this, is because I love writing and I love telling stories, and I know if I pushed hard enough, I have no problem operating in any kind of business environment, but I just that's not how I wanted to be creative. I wanted to be creative for me. I didn't want to be creative because I was trying to meet some financial goal, or somebody who wasn't a creative person thought they knew what they were doing, kind of thing. And Filmland's exactly that. We don't, and it's also part of why I wanted to do movies, because I just want to be as silly and crazy as we can possibly be, right? Our stories are very silly on purpose, right? Because we love having fun with the labels. We're serious about the whiskey, but when it comes to the labels and the stories, we do not take ourselves seriously. We like to laugh. We like to see. When I tell the story of one of our things, I love seeing people's faces. If they're smiling or they're laughing or they're going, "Oh my God," then I know we've done what we set out to do.
And I can't convince him. I can't convince him to get some of my spreadsheets on the QR code to show up. It's only his script, but someday you'll get some good Excel spreadsheets on there too, I hope.
I got some people asking on Facebook here. They're talking about that they would like to try to get these labels off the bottle for their artwork, in their bar rooms. And I was just wondering if that is maybe available, or maybe will be available in the future.
On the website, you were showing the QR code.
Yes.
Now, if you go there, there's a spot where you can get the posters. You can download them in PDF, and then you have to figure out how to print them yourself. Or you can buy posters on our little store. You'll get the posters pre-printed. So they're available for sure.
And I'll also say, if you're in any of the markets where we come and we do tastings in liquor stores, like we're doing tastings in Liquor Barn constantly in Kentucky, for example, we always give out posters when we're there.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
so there you go, everybody on Facebook that was wondering about it.
We got some.
That's the kind of artwork that you can obtain, and go to their website.
Yeah, on our website, we have the full 24 by 36, like the Town at the End of Tomorrow poster that's over Steve's shoulder. And we give out 12 by 18 cardstock posters that are double-sided. So
before we drink the rye, have we had any conversation with the state of Ohio?
Yes. And if you guys know anyone, we could use the help.
We do. That's why
we have a person.
Yeah. So we submitted you know how you guys know it better than I do, but you have to submit for the following season, right? And we have tried submitting core products to be core products. We've tried submitting limited releases to be limited releases. And so far we've gotten turned down. And unfortunately, the people we've dealt with have been incredibly nice, but they don't really tell you why they turn you down. And so we don't know.
Well, we know we know the person who can tell you everything. So I will
Put a bug in their ear.
yes.
Because,
Thank you.
yeah, I mean, I think your product, for the state of Ohio, we talk about all the different brands that are, across this great country, but you guys should have a place in Ohio. This is great product.
Yeah.
What a great story. I mean,
Thank you.
it's not corporate America meets bourbon and we just want to make more money. It's, hey, we're passionate. That's
price point.
And if they knew, if the decision makers knew how many people in Ohio are driving across the border to Party Source and those other stores to get our products, maybe it would help.
There's a
that'd
lot.
be me tomorrow.
I know.
Believe me, the state of Ohio knows what's going on
Right.
there. They absolutely know what they're missing out on. There's a certain. It takes a little bit longer in this state. We're not moving as fast as some other states might be to
But they're also getting
change the
bombarded.
laws.
But they're getting bombarded. This
Yeah.
is such a good venue. The state of Ohio is such a good venue for bourbon
It is.
that they're getting hammered by everybody. I can't even. Can you imagine? They probably hear from brands. We know we're in this every day, every hour of every day, and a new brand pops up, and you're like, I've never heard of them. And
Right.
I guarantee you, they get it even worse.
They do. They do. And we have some of our investors are based in Ohio also, right? Because it's so close there. So we would love to get in. We're in Pennsylvania, which is not the same but similar to control state. Their process is a little different. It took us 16 months to get a yes in Pennsylvania, but when they did, they brought in a ton of both Ryes and sold through very fast.
Where are you directly out of now? Where would do you have a physical place that you can go, or or where would it be, or I'm just trying to figure out that.
Yeah, we from an office standpoint, we don't have a central office. We're spread out kind of all over the country. I mentioned Charlie's in Atlanta, Steve's in Ventura County, I'm in LA, Kristen's in Orange County, Daniel's in Colorado, right? We're all over the place. We blend and bottle and store everything at a facility in Frankfort, in Kentucky. And so when we do all of that work, we go there. I'm in Kentucky constantly, right? 10 times a year at least. Steve is there with me 4 or 5 times a year. And we do that. Yeah, absolutely.
So you guys like to go to Kentucky?
Well,
Hey, I'm just saying, call me. Let me know when you're going to be there.
All
I
right.
will come down and I will.
Yeah, we have a pretty good idea where you're going to.
I'm about 2 hours from Charlie. I live
Yeah,
in
here?
Anderson, South Carolina. Yeah.
Oh, okay. He was just
Yeah,
in
just-
South Carolina
just
this
across
past
the-
weekend.
Yeah. I live just across the South Carolina border, Georgia border, about
Right.
2 hours away from Atlanta.
Right.
But there's no
In
actual.
fact, I was just in Atlanta a week before last.
But there's no actual
Right.
storefront kind of thing.
No, I mean, as a brand, right, technically we can't have a storefront. In Kentucky, things are changing because all those tasting rooms have popped up, which some of which are fabulous. But you have to have a Kentucky DSP, and the tasting room is your satellite location off of your DSP. So we have a strong presence in the castle in Kentucky. We're in their gift shop and we're in their bars, and we're in bars all over Kentucky too. We're in stores all over, but there's no Filmland physical location you can come visit yet, or at this point.
Unless you're in Ventura County, then you can come to my house.
Yeah, but I'm just trying
Take you up
to.
on that, Steve.
I mean, I could just that storefront would have to be a blast. I mean, it's you have everything. You wouldn't have to. Like a lot of times when you go in and you see that there's a lot of really cool things they do from a marketing standpoint of a brand at their tasting room kind of storefront. But you guys, You probably have everything already, and you just bring your stuff, and it would be decorated.
Hey, when I first started raising money for this 6 years ago, I'm doing the math. The original proposals we were showing had renderings of what that would look like.
I mean, you could even have like a little whole experience with a speakeasy, but then you could do character things. You could have, what I mean? You could have movie nights where the characters of your labels and the stories could be there interacting with your people. I mean, that is the coolest thing. I'm looking forward to you guys. It just keep getting bigger so you can do all this stuff.
That's absolutely what we're trying to do.
Yeah, we have a cool social media following, I'd say proportionally greater than most brands our size, the number of people who follow us and are actively involved. And there's some of those folks have done that on their own and posted the pictures of a Halloween party where different people have dressed up as our characters. And we've been involved sometimes and then we've been surprised sometimes. It's been a little bit of both, but that's one of the other fun things about us is we attract a different group of folks who enjoy the whiskey and then enjoy the experience beyond. So getting around the end of October, those social media posts that just link us and they're all dressed as some of the characters on our bottle, it is the coolest thing. It feels good. Then we're like, let us know if you want us to help you. Like, because that's the one thing is you talk to your contact in Ohio. The one thing that may differentiate us from some of the other small brands out there that they've had to deal with is we're real people and we'll have real conversations about any topic, anytime, not with it must be our way or the highway. We'll talk about anything and we're available to have those conversations for business meetings or fun stuff like a Halloween party where people dress up as our characters. We'll have those types of interactions anytime folks want to.
That sounds awesome. And we had just a few comments earlier from Facebook that we're talking about around Halloween, how cool this would be and all for some of the characters and all that.
Yeah.
And
So we do a promotion. We do a promotion every year starting in September through Halloween on Moonlight Mayhem because we call it the official bourbon of Halloween. And we do a lot of promotion, a lot of discounts, a lot of fun stuff around that. Like Steve said, there's so much social media content being generated by our fans and our customers around that time of year. It's awesome. Yeah. Love seeing those pictures.
If you ever do the store, if that ever happens, have you seen the movie Benchwarmers?
No.
So in the movie Benchwarmers, it's a baseball movie. They have a robot that goes around and he makes fun of whatchamacallit. That robot guy that you have on your way has to be the person who waits on you when you walk through the door.
and if you walk out, he gives you the finger.
Yeah.
At this, I created that a few months ago, so it didn't exist originally. But yes, and we have conversations about doing tasting room all the time with different people, and that definitely would be involved at this point because it's been so popular. People love that thing.
Yeah.
Well, the tasting room idea.
We're moving to rye now?
Yeah, I just poured the rye.
Winner.
I saw that.
It's the CFO keeping us on track.
I'll taste for both of us, Troy. Don't worry.
Okay.
This one is called Rise of Robots.
This is Ryes of the Robots Extended Cut. So we've been saying extended cut all night, but for people who don't know, extended cut is our trademark term for cast strength. Just like a movie gets the extended cut treatment, it has more scenes, our extended cut has more proof. And so we launched Rise of the Robots. So when we originally launched, we only had the three products, Moonlight Mayhem Extended Cut, and Rise of the Robots 94 proof. Then at that same Kentucky Bourbon, that's the 94 right there, yeah. Yep. At that same Kentucky Bourbon Festival that we mentioned a few times already, where we launched our Town at the End of Tomorrow limited release, we released Rise of the Robots Extended Cut, which we're trying now. Gold medal at San Francisco, 92 in Whiskey Advocate. And I'm going to reserve some of the things I'm going to say because I want to hear what you guys think and what you taste before we talk further about it.
95.5.
I'm thinking you were talking about the cast strength and all. That was one of the cool things that I liked about this label. That right there where it says foolproof, it's full moon proof.
Yeah.
That was a pretty cool little aspect.
Yeah.
Rise of the Robots is full metal proof.
Yeah, look
Full
on
metal proof, okay.
Rise of the Robot, you'll see another little word there too. So it's
So,
we have fun with those. Those are the details that you can catch the second, third, or fourth time you sit down with it that you might not have seen the first time.
I got a question. Why is the girl on Rise of the Robots carrying a shaker?
Oh, so let me tell you the story of the movie.
So
it'll
she's
be
got a
quick.
shaker in her hand.
Yeah, she's got a cocktail shaker. So Rise of the Robots takes place in a future where technology has been outlawed. And a fallen technology titan builds an army of robotic bartenders to take over the world. And our heroine is Courtney, bartender turned action hero who has to save the world.
Oh, there we go.
So that's why in one hand she's got a cocktail shaker and in the other she has a severed head of a robot.
Yep.
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah, so as C2 was mentioning, this is a 95-5 mash bill, so 95% rye, 5% malted barley.
the classic MGP mash bill.
Yep.
So so you guys obviously taste a lot of barrels that come from MGP. So there's a certain flavor profile that if you don't blend and work it so that you make your own flavor profile, that will stay consistent throughout a lot of brands. And so one of the things, it was kind of like there were brands that right at the time you were probably starting, because I think I probably remember there were so many MGP brands and I was tasting so much MGP, I was getting burned out, straight across because there was a consistent flavor profile. But since that point when that was happening and people were just like, MGP was almost getting a negative connotation, well, that's MGP or whatever, yourself, I would say, and there's a bunch of other brands that have really done a good job eliminating the specific MGP profile and creating their own. So how do you attribute, when you're doing that, because you have to be aware of it because it was throughout a lot of different brands for a while. I mean, I've tasted a lot of 95.5. And there's a brand that was using it that made it probably, and this tastes nothing like that brand. I mean, you have a sweetness in there. You've got there's the harshness of what 95.5 can be, that really hard spice. You have that mellowed. You know what I mean? How do you go about doing that when you blend?
I'm gonna let Troy answer the specifics, but I want to give a little bit of an umbrella thing. This is one of the beauties of our blending team is our ability to approach the blending with different perspectives. And I had definitely had rye before we got together, but I was not as attuned to rye flavor notes as Troy and Charlie were. I'm more, and what I brought was a little more international. I had more Scotch and Irish and Japanese whiskey background in the two of them. But the beauty of our blending team is we have a common, so if you think of three circles and you put them together, that Venn diagram, the three of us have a lot of common, but we also brought some unique things. And I'd say the answer to that question, what Troy is going to do specifically, is one of the cool things about the three of us coming together. I just wanted to say that first, Troy, because it wouldn't have made as much sense afterwards.
Yeah, no, and if when we're blending, if we disagree, right, we're going to have a conversation about it, and then I'm going to overrule the guys anyway. But no, it's an incredibly collaborative process of equals for sure. But first, the barrels come into Kentucky. Not everybody's MGP ages in Kentucky. They get it right from the MGP warehouses in Kansas or Indiana and goes right in the bottles, right? But spending time in that Kentucky weather makes an absolute difference. The next part of it is just, most people do not taste the rye and say what you just said, Tiny, which is sweet, right? But we particularly love minty ryes, and we lean into that mint, right? And so when you lean into the ryes that are minty and citrusy, you end up with a rye that's not going to be so dill and grassy, and super peppery. It's going to be a little sweeter, especially for rye. And we know this happens because we get a lot of people when I'm tasting people at the festival or at liquor stores will come up and they'll go, oh, no, I don't like rye. And then they decide, all right, I'll try it. And they go, that's rye? That's really good. That's not the rye I remember having. And it's because of that flavor profile that we aim for. So the combination of all of those factors.
I would say that it has a minty, but there's an underlying sweetness to it. There was a brand at Kentucky Bourbon Festival that everybody liked and whatever, and I tasted it, and this is how much I like some ryes. I basically wanted to spit it out, like just spit it out right there. Mm-hmm. But I was respectful and kind of walked away and then spit it out. But at the same time, that's kind of how some ryes will hit me. Plus, there's an aspect of in rye that if it comes out, it tastes like formaldehyde to me or some sort of rancid thing. So I'm always, I tread lightly when I taste ryes. Oh, right. And I was when this was sent to me a little bit. So the first thing I had to do is, when I opened and did the samples for the guys, I definitely had to taste the rye. And then if it was one of those ryes, I would have contacted you guys and let you know. But it wasn't, so there was no problem there. And I think a rye palate, all of our rye palates, when you first start and you're a bourbon lover and you've got all those caramels happening and everything, there's a lot of flavors in rye that are what would you say? It's a complex, not complex in the taste itself, but it is how your brain processes it.
Yeah, and you're tasting it on a completely different part of your tongue.
Yeah,
right. All of it's at the back sides of your tongue, and you get a lot of it as you swallow it, which is a little bit different than how bourbon is. And that pepper, what I always tell people who are not connoisseurs or experienced drinkers is, sometimes you're going to drink rye and you're going to think it's higher proof than it is because you're going to mistake that spice and that pepper for just alcohol, right? Yep. And so you have to, it's an evolution. I think you evolve to rye.
Well, and you guys know when the rye took off, there were some distilleries that made a modified bourbon and called it rye. It was 55% rye or 60% rye and a lot of corn, and it basically was just almost bourbon. And and some people started thinking, I love rye, because they were basically drinking bourbon, right? It was still a lot of corn in it. And then when you got to the higher percentage of rye, all the way up to 95.5 with no corn in it, if someone who went from either bourbon loving or the first rye they had was one of those 55 or 60% ryes, and then they had that, it shocked their brain so much that they would say, I don't like rye. Even those people can be turned around if you give them enough time, education, experience with it, and explain what they're dealing with. Then they'll come around. But if it's just they do it in isolation, it's hard sometimes for them because the flavor is so different. And that's if you do the classic 95.5. With us, we try to do that journey for them a little bit without having to be in front of them, because by dampening some of those flavors and offsetting it with some sweetness, they don't need anyone in the room to help them make that transition.
It's and maybe I'm off on this, but I keep getting the sweetness. It is not a typical bourbon sweetness like you would say, oh, it's vanilla.
Yeah.
And I can't put my finger on it, but I almost feel like it's maple.
It's almost I think it's like...
It's different.
It reminds me of like a lemongrass tea with honey. Like
it's more honey.
Yeah, so it's like a honey, but it's also got a grassy kind of thing. But then maybe you put like some spearmint into that tea, and then you pick up that's on the finish. I mean, once that sweetness of the honey, the lemon, then all of a sudden you pick up that spearmint. Like you just chew some gum, and this, you might sell this as a breath freshener, right?
You guys remember with with Wrigley's gum, there was peppermint and there was spearmint, and those had a unique flavor. But then there was that crazy one called no one knew what the hell double mint
It was softer.
Right? Yeah. Double mint was like a blend of mints that didn't have a slap in the face like maybe peppermint. Double mint flavor of the Wrigley's gum, where you don't even know.
Sweeter.
You can't describe it, but it's cool. It's different. It's unique. So the mint is, to me, and it's not perfectly analogous, but it's that little bit of like double mint gum. And then I pick up the honey too. Sometimes people don't, but I get that honey sweetness a little bit also.
Well, you got to add twins you got to now add the story.
So I was getting like a tart apple up front. And then Jeff said, when he said lemongrass, then it was like, oh my gosh. You know,
that's on the nose.
Yeah. On the nose, and then on that first sip was like, you know, that either the tart apple or the lemongrass coming through. But then on that finish is definitely the double mint. To that sweetness of that double mint gum. I mean, it's just beautiful.
Well, I can tell you, as a bourbon lover, like when I come downstairs and there's 1,500 bottles down here, and I'm looking for something to taste, you know, like when I'm not podcasting or whatever, and I want to pour, I usually don't go to a rye. So a lot of times, when I'm looking to just at least make it so I can fit some more bottles down here, I will give away Ryes and certain different. I don't try and give away the worst stuff. I always try and give to people some of the good stuff. So a lot of times, if it's good, I'm like, oh, this guy likes rye or whatever. But I'm telling you, what's going to make me keep this bottle right here is your label. I like it, and I ain't giving it away. So there you go. That's an honor. You've covered the whole gamut right there. It's worked.
I'm thinking of all the, like, we can never have you review our rye because I'm thinking of what you would say. It's like, yeah, I didn't spit it out. Right? That's and hey, it's not quite good enough to give away.
Yeah, it doesn't taste like
right. That's the two things I heard.
Yeah. No, it's good. I mean, honestly, I taste the sweetness. There is, you know, when people talk about, you know, it's so funny because rye and wheated bourbon and then rye whiskey is, people think of them as so different, right? Even the labels, green and then brown, you know what I mean? Whatever, and it's so different. But if you drive by, I challenge anybody, if you don't know what you're talking about, drive by a field that's growing rye and tell me if they're growing wheat, because it's basically, it looks almost, I mean, I understand there's probably a difference, but when I'm going by a field and I don't know that it's rye or wheat, I'm not going to be able to tell you what it is. It's just a 50-50 guess. I mean, it's not that different. I mean, the rye is a hardier wheat that grows north, you know, more. I mean, it's basically looks the same when you process it, but it definitely has a much different flavor. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
Really loving the finish on this. The sweetness, the sweetness is just lingers and lingers there.
But it still has a bite in the middle of your tongue, though. Like,
but it's not too spicy. And what's the proof on this? Right? This is the extended.
To me, it's like a allspice that's there.
Yeah.
What you tell us, Tiny, because you got the bottle there, and it varies by batch.
I'll tell you because he can't read. I can't read his handwriting because it's all smudged.
What about you, Nash? Did you unsmudge it?
You smudged it before I got it.
Looks like 116.
Probably 118.
118, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably
we haven't. I don't think we had a batch at
118.
116.
Yeah, I believe it's 118.
That's actually the highest proof batch we've ever released of that.
Yeah.
What is?
It's 115.
Oh, that one's 115.
Okay.
No,
No, you're looking at the wrong bottle.
I am.
Yeah, you're looking at the other bottle.
118.
Dear God.
You're 118.
118.
So this one. Okay, I'm looking
it's
at
even
this
on the
one.
top of your
so
mouth,
I'm looking
too,
at
like-
the label on this one, and you can see that 115 right there, pretty good, right? You see that
Yeah.
right there? So who did this label? because it's a lot different. It's kind of like a fatter marker or a bigger push. Do you guys who writes them in?
Well,
Everyone?
different people at the bottling facility, but we did change bottling facilities last year. So it's
Okay.
possible one of them was bottled at one and one of them was bottled at the other, which is more than likely what happened.
Okay.
So when I have a 2-liter aging barrel, and I make old fashioned out of the 94. I combine the 94 proof and whatever bottles I may have of the cast strength together to form like a 101, 102 version of our rye, and that's what I use in the old fashioned. This whiskey makes an amazing old fashioned for those who prefer rye old fashions. Troy prefers bourbon old fashions, and a lot of people prefer bourbon old fashions. But those of us who prefer rye and old fashions, with using just the 94, I think this at cast strength kind of does it a little too much. But if you happen to have both of our 94 and this one, and do an ounce of each, or whatever your proportions are, mine's for a barrel, so a lot of each, but at equal parts of our 94 and our cast strength in an old fashioned, if you're a rye old fashioned preference, it's fantastic. It's
Are you daring me right now?
I
I'll walk into the other room and I will do it.
What you do realize, not only
barrel stuff in 1 and 2 gallon barrels and 5 gallon barrels out in my garage.
But Nash, you're going to be in California soon, and he has barrel aged
Cocktails.
old fashions. So why
You
don't
guys,
you?
if you guys don't mind me standing up, I'm going to show you the barrels in a second. I'll just grab them and show them to
No,
you right
we
now.
don't mind. No,
Amazing
not at
stuff.
all.
Yeah.
No. Wait, he's not going to take the camera. He's going to actually go get the barrels.
He's going to get the barrel.
I thought he was going to take the camera and just go. Okay.
No, I think the camera's attached to the computer.
Okay.
Oh, he's on his laptop. Yeah.
So here's my barreled Manhattan,
Okay.
and we
Nice.
partner with a company that makes the barrels, and they etch our logo in there. And then here is my barreled old fashioned.
Awesome.
And that I usually don't pour them out until they've been in here for maybe a month or so. And this one I think is right at a month. So come on over, and this is
Steve,
full. The other, they have,
So you put the sweetener and the bitters in with it?
yeah, I make the entire cocktail in a big container. Sweetener, I actually put a little soda water in too, just to dilute it a bit. The bitters are all in there, and then put all.
What's your sweetener?
I either use Demerara syrup, and I think in that one that was a Demerara, and then I'll switch off between Demerara and maple. So I'll do a maple old fashioned. So
All right. Yeah. I have one in
Demerara.
the other room aging syrup right now.
So this is my Christmas present from CT. So maybe if you send me the recipe, I will.
Actually, it may come up because on our social media, what we talked about Laura earlier, and we have another partner who does social media. I filmed myself making what I just showed you, that old fashioned. I did a POV.
It is on your Facebook page.
Okay.
Yeah, and so that was the quiet professional. I think if you see my face, that's a different one. But I did another version a day or so later, where I filmed a POV of making and mixing. You'll see me pouring the cast strength and the 94 proof in the big container. You'll see me adding all the ingredients and then filling up the barrel. The recipe will be on that video. If it doesn't come out in the next couple of days, I'll send it to you separately.
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, I got one of those barrels just like Jeff's, except Super Nash's spirits.
Yeah, it's a great, and it's nice when you have people over and
They're
you want to
fun.
talk and you want to kind of be somewhere. You don't have to have your back to them making a cocktail. You just turn the spigot, and all of a sudden they have a beautiful cocktail ready for them.
Although
What's aggravating about those barrels is the ones that like Jeff has. I have one. It holds 4 750 milliliter bottles, and the first time you do it, and you only get about 3 bottles back out of it, and you're like, "What the shit? Like, where did all the bottles?"
shit.
Yeah,
Really?
So now
Hold 4?
I've been through so many renditions of this. This barrel I have done 4 batches of maple syrup, 5 batches of different bourbons that I've done in it, and they all come out like just crazy good.
Okay, CT, so now imagine spending thousands of dollars, 3 gallons, and only get about 38 out of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Or I'm
Yeah.
sure you guys have had this happen. You go and you've bought a barrel and they tell you, okay, and then you go and it's like, whoa, this isn't hardly anything.
We have had bone dry barrels,
Yes.
and there's no returns.
I've
That's it.
heard that story before,
Yeah.
and I can't even imagine what level of, I would be on.
So look, when we first started, and I lived in fear of an empty barrel because, like, you know, on a percentage basis, that's a lot of the bourbon.
Right.
You know, I'm not saying I enjoy when I find out we have it, but you know, we're averaging our cost of goods over all the barrels we're buying over a period of time, knowing some are going to be empty, some are going to get dropped. It happens, you know, so we just have to. It's just it's the normal part of doing this kind of business.
Well, it's plus. If you put in 53 and got 53 back, then it wouldn't taste very good. I mean, for God's sakes, the whole reason why it tastes good is absorbed in there, and then once it's full up, it just starts pushing it back through the sugar barrier, and I just like it's just part of it, and I've heard that before. I mean, the 1 year Pappy Pickle they didn't even release it because all the barrels were empty. It's just it happens. But when you're doing what you're doing, 7 to 9 year, and you get an empty barrel, that's intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the beauty and the curse of this industry, and at our level, right? It's really when it's what you enjoy, the variety and the artistry of it, and the ability to adapt. And then Troy and I both have that side of our brain. We both have the business-like regimented side of our brain, and we have to let those two fight each other a little bit and give and take. And I think, we met 5 years ago and have developed a wonderful relationship. I think I've watched him evolve in that respect, and I think he's helped me evolve in that respect. And it's been fun to go on that journey with our 7th product release to see the amount that we're willing to accept of that, and then talking to people in the industry. Like the time we spend in Kentucky, we learn from people who've done that for 20 years, and they kind of tell us to relax. It's just part of it. Just don't take it so seriously. Like that's part of this deal, and your skills will develop as you adapt to those things. And that's been wonderful along the journey since our product launched, since our company launched.
I hope the 375 evolves too for the stuff like that too, 375 milliliter bottles. So, but also, I mean, we've been associated with craft distillers where that kind of thing happens with the barrel and it's really good, but there might be only like 30, 40 bottles in there, and it's on a level that's not part of their brand or whatever. So they end up just angel sharing it with everybody. That's always an option, right? And or make it a personal thing. I mean, there's just so much of that happens that it's really good, but you're only going to get 20 bottles. It's not like you can do a 20 bottle release. And if you pour it into what you're doing, I mean, you might be a couple of those where it would help out a little bit, where it would make it just a little bit more rich. But then there's other ones where there's just no way that's happening, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I've always, the big guys know what to do with all that stuff. Just pour it in a batch and put cherry flavor in it, and they're set. I mean, honestly, it's funny because flavored whiskeys. And or all the stuff that happens with the whiskey now, they have the whiskey cocktails and all that kind of stuff happening, and I've done podcasts. Does a better bourbon or a rye make a difference when you're making an old fashioned? And I've come up with it that it does. I mean, it actually makes a difference in drink. Does it matter on a Friday night where somebody's buying cocktails to get drunk? Probably not, right? They're not looking, but when you're talking about making cocktails for your friends or making a good quality craft cocktail, it absolutely does matter.
Yeah, I answer both. When people ask me those questions, I say yes and yes. Can I use this to make a cocktail? Yes. If I use this high quality liquid versus this low quality liquid, is there a difference? Yes. It doesn't mean they're mutually exclusive. You can do anything you want, but the idea, and I've done it. I'm a little bit got a little OCD, so I've made old fashions with different proofs or different what I perceive as quality liquids, and then tasted them blindly. I had my wife mix them all around and put numbers on them, and I can tell the difference. And so it's definitely, I believe there's a difference. Now, does that mean, like you said, that you always have to use one or the other? No, just enjoy yourself is the most important thing. As long as you're enjoying it, it doesn't matter. But if you ask the question, is there a difference? Yes, there's a difference. And I don't want to lie about that.
There you go. I took more rye.
He's not giving it away. There's no doubt.
Nope, not at all.
Now, here's the question. If we put a black and white label on it that just said rye whiskey, would you give it away?
No. Oh.
Oh, wow.
Well, I would consider giving it to one of my friends who really loves rye. I've got 3 or 4 people that just go crazy for ryes. I would consider that, but I'm excited to make a couple drinks with that. I think that would make a really fantastic old fashioned. There's no doubt about it. But the sweetness that it's bringing,
I like the idea, like you said. I cannot get away from. There's a hint of maple in that, but honey for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That would make a great. What the heck is the honey drink? It's not an old fashioned.
Gold Rush.
Gold Rush. I like an idea of doing a Gold Rush with that rye.
Right. And CT, you don't have the bottle in front of you, right?
I have the regular, the 90.
Right. So Tiny, if you read the tasting notes on the bottle, there's a word there that CT has said twice.
okay.
That's
No.
look. Now you gotta eat the glasses.
Yeah. All right. Courtney,
I just can't remember getting that much of that note on that bottle, like of any of theirs.
Okay.
Like any 95.
Mint and oak on the nose and tongue with notes of chocolate, maple, cream, and a long, robust finish that hints at fresh baked sourdough enjoyed neat or with a drop of water. This sophisticated blend is sure to mobilize humans and robots alike. Yeah, but there you go.
Maple.
The maple.
It said maple a couple of times, CT, and that's right there because that's one of the notes we get from it.
It's like I couldn't get away from it. I kept telling my brain, say it's honey, but then I would drink it and I re-poured it and I did it again and it's like, man,
I will give you the fresh baked sourdough aspect. That's the little bit of now that you said
the chocolate. The chocolate on the finish.
No, I did not get the
After
chocolate.
It sat there for a little while. After it sits there for a little while on the finish, and the air goes across, I can taste that chocolate.
There's a difference of the way this finishes on the top of my palate too. Like I don't know what it is, but the roof of my mouth. Usually it's tongue, yeah, that's it. But the roof of my mouth is actually feeling a little bit of a sensation.
I will give you that this body on both of them. The bodies are, we always give a rating system of 1 to 4 on the body, and it's definitely it covers when you drink it, it's everywhere in your mouth. I mean, underneath your tongue, cheeks, top of roof of your mouth and back of your throat. It's everywhere.
Love it. I mean, we look for that experience in our cask strengths. There may be barrels that we taste that's their preeminent quality, and the flavors may not be exactly what we like, but we know that will blend well into 7 or 8 other barrels that have all the flavor characteristics. We'll find a barrel that just is dominant with that mouthfeel. And we won't settle with one that doesn't have a wonderful mouthfeel.
There's not a lot of things that I drink and we all get to drink our share of things that actually hit the roof line and stay in the top of your roof of your mouth as it's finished. You may get a sensation as it's going down, but then it's gone. This is staying. Like
it numbs the roof of your mouth.
Yeah, it's a sensation.
It numbs it with taste.
Well, that's what I said just a few minutes ago. It's tingly across the roof of my mouth, and I don't think I've ever had that happen with a rye. It's wonderful.
You guys are making our day, our evening right now.
No, you did it right. You did it right.
That's a testament to you guys. Your blending experience and your dedication to what you do and your craft it shows right here in the bottle and in the glass.
But also it shows people that this did not happen from sitting at a bar, shooting a shot, calling it a day, moving on. This is if you want to enjoy what you guys crafted, obviously this took time to craft. Now to enjoy that craft, we have to sit here and slowly go through it. It's slow drinks. It's a nose here, a sip here, and then finding those flavors that then the next time you go to drink it, you're like, oh yeah, there they are. Yeah. Because that's to me like the thing that is enjoyable about bourbon, not only the people, but finding the flavors in it. Because you can go and drink whatever and it goes down and it's hot or it's got caramel and it's got this and that. But this is a journey. Like it's like totally different. So hopefully people get that.
Yeah, and we tasted the cask strengths, and all of us have had a lot of whiskey. We tried to capture exactly what you said in our 94 proofs also for people who may not have been as far along the journey as the five of us are, but also make those so that the five of us can drink and go, yeah, it's pretty good. They got a lot of flavor for that, right? So we that's where we try to appeal to a wide audience in the movie terms or in the whiskey terms, is people at different levels of their whiskey journey. So those out there who might be listening to this who aren't into cask strengths, we do have lower proof offerings that we try to capture that exact same experience with for someone a little earlier on their whiskey journey.
And this is so that people understand too. This is not when you drink the extended, we call it the extended cuts. It's not like, I think Troy said it earlier. It's not because it's spicy or ethanol, because people drink 85 proof and it's got ethanol.
Yep.
And this is not that spice. This is pepper or a baking spice, like Nash said earlier. That's what you get on some of these, which if you're drinking it slowly and enjoying it, you'll pull that out. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you're drinking an 80 proof, we'll call it a well bottle at a bar, it's going to burn.
Yeah.
It's totally different.
Yeah.
Not the same.
To finish up, I would say that it's exactly what you guys, like the whole experience from start to finish, from purchasing the bottle, seeing the bottle, maybe going on the website and everything. Everything is kind of, what would you say, done with how down, your roots. It's not like when you put out a B horror film, you make some really quality stuff, but you have to be so creative that and you do things specifically to be able to create something that's a movie experience that somebody might eventually, it might become a cult, or it might become something and as big as somebody who spent, just went out and spent all the money and did all the things and bought all the, the canned stuff and whatever to produce a movie to entertain people. But you guys, it's like the work is there and you could taste it in what you're doing. I mean, it's not overpowering. I mean, this is 118 proof. It's a rye. It could easily just be overpowering, but it's not. It just, it feels, it's the whole thing is an overall experience when it's in your mouth, but you don't ever get that it's too spicy. This is too hot. This is whatever, and that's kind of like what it seems like you guys are accomplishing what you want to accomplish.
Yeah, look, we love it when anybody even tries our product, when they enjoy it. That's really rewarding. When people recognize the level of detail and effort and time and passion and caring and money that goes into making our products, that's really rewarding. That's like the ultimate for us, because that's what we do. We don't sit there and go, oh, let's just hurry this up.
Yeah.
You know, there's been plenty of times where my team is, you know, certain members of my team will say, hey, Troy, good enough. And I'll be like, no, right? It's not. I want to spend more time making it where I think it should be, because you never know who is going to enjoy what aspect of what we've done. And I want every single person to have the top level of quality.
Well,
One
for
of our
you,
goals
because
is to form a connection. And we can form a connection with someone who's tasting bourbon for the first time with Moonlight Mayhem 94 proof. We can form a connection with people like us who've had whiskey a long time and cask strength. We can form a connection if someone who's never had whiskey and goes on and logs on and sees that bartender and has a fun interaction with them, or watches a movie trailer or sees our poster. We want to form long-lasting connections with people, and everything we do is designed to form that connection. And if that means they buy one bottle every 5 years or they buy 5 bottles a day, it doesn't matter. As long as we're connected and they understand that we're not just trying to make a quick buck or just throw stuff in a bottle and put a fancy label on. We want to connect with folks. Then we're succeeding in everything we do when we form that connection. And I think we connected with you guys tonight, because I feel it. I feel the connection. And that's more important than you saying you like it or don't like it or pick up that. The connection is what's more important.
we connected 2.5 years ago, to the point that I still have your business card downstairs in my business card files. And so, you know, and I know Tiny and Nash keep them too, but that's like, I think I always feel bad when I go back to KBF and I'm like, or any event, and I'm like, man, we talked about getting together and doing a podcast, but we just never got to it. And I'm glad that this finally happened. When Jeff told me, he was like, Filmland's, they're sending some bottles, we're going to do it. And I'm like, oh my God, finally, you know, like, not his fault, not your fault, not my fault. It's just, we all get busy. It's great to finally be able to do this.
I agree. Thank you.
Same here. Totally appreciate it.
And just know that, like, from my standpoint, in CT standpoint and Nash's standpoint, we are always, I mean, we're live 2 nights a week, you know, Tuesdays and Thursday nights every single week, unless we're in Kentucky, and then we're doing live stuff, you know, maybe not on the Tuesday, whatever, but we're always, you know, getting out there, and we're out there. But to do that, we have to do a lot of work to contact people. But to have Laura contact me, I mean, right there, you're winning. And then 2, as far as your whiskey goes, you connected with me when I opened these and was sampling them out, and I tasted them. That connection was definitely, there was, you know, the connection was made because I knew what was in the bottle was quality. I mean, I have a lot of people send me stuff first, and then I have to, when I talked to Laura initially, she's like, I'll send you up some samples. And my thought is, you know, I have to taste it, and it has to be good. And if I don't like it, I'm not going to lie. I will always talk to everybody. But, you know, that wasn't something that I needed to do. It was just, you know, and I had tasted the cask strength before, and I said to her, we really kind of like the cask strength. And she's like, yep, we got you. And so definitely the connection's there. You can tell the work is being done. I mean, and then I can't wait till your Kentucky release comes out. I can't, you know, and you guys as blenders, be proud of yourself. I mean, you understand what people want to drink, you know, you understand different types of palates and that type of things, and you guys are doing a good job.
Thank you. Really appreciate that.
All right, so we should, unless anybody, do you have any more questions, Nash, you want to ask, or CT?
Well, I'd just like to say that Troy and Steve, what you guys just said and talked about just a few minutes ago is just building your credibility in this industry as providing a great product. And I truly believe you're starting to build a great fan base, and just keep up the good work, and just keep it coming, guys. I mean, we're loving what you do.
Thank you. We appreciate that, Nash. And I would say to that end, anyone who's watching, who's interested in knowing more, check us out at filmlandspirits.com. And also, we're on all the social platforms at Filmland Spirits. And we've got a lot of fun content. We also have informational stuff. And we definitely encourage you to go chat with the filmologist on our website. And if you're interested in purchasing, just ask it for discounts. Or if you just want to know more about us or the product or the stories, it will share everything.
So,
Absolutely. And if you're watching this, and if the state of Ohio is watching this, honestly, I am always more driven to people than the bourbon. I think that's just me as a person. I've always been more of the social butterfly type person. And I can, like, reality is that there's a lot of good product out there, but there's not a lot of great people. There's good people, but I always enjoy a good story. I like knowing that people are in it for the right reasons, knowing that people aren't just doing it because, oh my God, I saw the opportunity to make millions of dollars. That's not probably happening in this industry without some dumb luck and whatnot. So I appreciate what you guys are doing for the bourbon industry. I hope to see the bottles in Ohio because, yes, that'll save me a Friday trip down to Kentucky.
oh, that would be sad if you
anyway.
didn't make it.
But it'll save me a trip. But I would love to see it on the shelves in Ohio. I would love to speak about it. I would love to have you guys here. I would love to meet you in Columbus and be able to do a tasting and an event. I think that would be awesome.
That would be great. And we come, and I come, and Steve comes to whatever markets we're in, and we do those things.
Yeah. What a great story to share with people, and what a great product, and be able to talk about all you got to talk about. So thank you so much for coming on, and finally 2.5 years later making this happen.
Awesome. Thank you guys. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So if you guys need to go, we understand. What we usually do is we finish up the podcast and then throw it out real quick to people listening on Facebook if they want to join in and ask you any questions. If you want to stay on for that, that's fine. If you got to go, we understand. And if they're all talking too much and it's kind of going in a way, feel free, just say, I'm going to hit the hay, or I'm going out. I understand it's a little bit earlier out by you guys than it is by us. But at the same time,
What time is it there?
7:30.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we're at, yeah. So, but I'll finish up, throw it out, and we'll go from there. All right.
Yeah, I mean, if people have questions, I can hang out for about 10 more minutes.
Okay.
I have another commitment.
I can stay as long as you guys want. So
No,
Yeah.
Steve, don't say that, because I went to bed one night and the next day I asked Jeff, I said, well, how long were you guys up? And it was like 12:30. So don't do that.
No, yeah, but for 12:30 here is 9:30 there, so he's okay. But still, hopefully it doesn't go that long. Anyways, all right, everybody, www.scotchybourbonboys.com for all things Scotchy Bourbon Boys. We've got Glen Cairns t-shirts. Check it out, and then also remember. We are on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X, and then all the major audio podcasts of Apple, iHeart, Spotify. And whether you listen to us or you watch us, make sure that you leave us good feedback. Go to Apple, leave us good reviews. That 5 out of 5 star thing helps with our rating and getting us more people to watch. And then also remember, good bourbon equals good times with good friends, and we've made some good ones tonight. Thanks, guys. And
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Troy. Thanks, Steve.
make sure you drink responsibly. Don't drink and drive. And Nash, finish this up.
And live your life uncut and unfiltered.
Our AI theme song will take us out.
You're right.
on the floor, working hard all day till you can't no more. Life rolls on, but the choice is yours. How you play it out when you walk through that door. One bottle, one drink, one pour. That's what the Scotchy Bourbon Boys got in store. Tuesdays, Thursdays, come pour a little seed. We'll taste through the whiskey on the rocks and eat. Bourbon Scotch or a good old rye. Japanese, Irish, yeah, we'll tell you why. So wherever you're sipping, near or far, tune in with us from your home or your car. One bottle, one drink, one pour. That's the podcast you've been looking for.
All right. There we go.
All right, looks like we
Steve,
got our good
actually
friend
sang
Walker
that.
Cyrus and John Ritt coming in.
What was
And I
that?
actually sang that. I don't want you to think that was AI. That was actually me.
It's amazing
Serious.
what you can do. That's like the first the one you guys heard to start us off. That was done by Kenny Fuller. He was originally with a band that was associated with Luca Mariano, and he was just we did a podcast, and afterwards he was like, I can make you a theme song. I'm like, okay, so that worked out good. But then that AI one, it's just like I was messing around with the AI software, and my wife kept going, they're just not right. They're just not right. And so I was like, I wrote it, and then I decided, well, what happens if I give it to ChatGPT and tell it to write it so that it works in a pop song or a country, whatever, as a musical lyrics. And then I gave it to Suno, and she's like, well, that works. So I had to, I don't.
That's great.
But I did write it, so I knew what I wanted, and it got the general point across. But I was more than excited for that.
Yeah, came out nice.
Fun.
All right, so Walker or John, do you guys have any questions for Stephen or Troy?
Walker, what single barrel is that?
This is a single barrel of Moonlight Mayhem extended cut.
That's
This
the,
one was-
the John O's or the.
This is the John O's. Exactly right, Troy. So I've got my little thing on the bottom. It's not the best light in the world. Let's see if I can get it. That's pretty well centered there.
Yeah.
With their little almost comic strip guy there with the beer glass and everything like that. But
They did a single barrel and they split it between the store and the charity. I think it's Bourbon 360.
yep, absolutely.
And so we did half the stickers for Bourbon 360 and half for John O's, but it's the same single barrel.
Oh, it's awesome. I'm on my third store.
Well, just so you know the process. So when we talked in the podcast about tasting every barrel, and what Charlie and I do, we taste those. We don't talk to each other. We kind of sit. We may sit in the same room, but we don't look at each other. And we have our own little smiley face or check mark or.
It's kind of like you're married.
Yeah, when we're tasting a barrel, we're putting the notes down. We all have our own little way of saying this one might be a single barrel. Like this is our opinion. When we come back together, if all three of us have put our little special mark on it, we definitely flag it as a potential single barrel. Maybe even if two of the three of us do. Now, does that mean we'll never use it in a blend? No. If it's the barrel for the blend, we might. But then we keep that list, and then that is what we eventually go back and revisit and make it one of the single barrel offerings that we do out there. So it's a fun part. It's a fun sub part of our big process is identifying single barrels.
Okay.
That makes perfect sense, Stephen. And what you said earlier about the way that y'all collaborate, that's a unique aspect as well, because you're kind of blinding it in a way. Like, you know what you're tasting, but in terms of what each other think, that's an underrated aspect of things. Yeah. Some people do that as a pure thing, and it's not pure, but it's definitely a method that you can use to get a better idea and a better understanding.
Yep.
Yeah, well, these guys, we have very strict rules that you don't, until we all put our glasses down and go, ready, we don't say what we tasted, because you can program somebody's brain very easily. Charlie and Steve always get mad at me because I can't even listen to music. Because if there's like if it's a song that takes me back to like summer camp when I was a kid, I'm going to smell and taste things that I remember from then. Or, if they say a word in the lyric, and I'm going to start thinking about that, and then that's what I'm going to smell and taste, right? So they get so mad at me because I'm like, no, we can't listen to music.
Yeah, I like music in almost every aspect of my. I play golf and I listen to music. Every time I'm around, I have music, and Troy likes the silence. And so, what we do is we compromise. Half the time we'll do silence, and half the time we'll have music on.
Well, what you said exactly tonight, tasting that rye, okay? Not reading the tasting notes. You heard what I was tasting, right?
Yeah.
But once I read the tasting notes, all of a sudden the chocolate was put in my head, and I tasted the mint, and I thought of an Andes candy. Okay, that was there instead of just the mint at the end. So you are completely right on what you're saying. If something suggests something, or you've had an experience, it definitely affects it. But that's the great thing about it, right?
Yeah, we didn't do it tonight, but Troy or I typically say when we show the bottle, we say there's tasting notes, but don't read them. Don't read them yet. Taste it first and tell us what you think before you read these notes, because we don't want. Those are there for after. They're not there for before, and we can't do that. Obviously, we can't have them here after your first taste. But if we're in control in some way, we tell folks not to read those until after they've formed their own opinion, because we don't want them to be influenced.
You could attach one of those pre-recorded microphones to the robot voice saying exactly that. Do not read the tasting notes till after.
We could put that silver stuff they do on like scratcher tickets.
Yeah.
Tasting notes, and you have to scratch off.
Yeah.
Scratch I mean, my God, you would be famous for scratch off tasting notes. I mean, you would even call it that, scratch off tasting notes.
And they can
I'm already seeing the cost per bottle go up in my head right now.
That's what he's saying. I'm making notes. I'm already thinking about the label adjustments.
Well, but
it's basically wax.
Yeah.
Or something.
No. Yeah.
What's that?
Scratch off. I may have the material wrong, but I'll have to research that a little bit. But it feels like wax.
We could do peel-offs tasting notes too. Those work. That's how every single credit or gift card has one.
That'll work in a bar. Yeah. Peel off tickets on the back of a bottle.
Oh my God! Peel off tasting notes on the back of the bottle, and then you could have a giveaway where just when you scratch off, if the tasting notes reveal a thing, you could win a poster.
I am appreciating how much of our money you guys are spending.
But it goes back to the wife thing. We're just like wives. We're good at it.
John, what you smoking?
I'm going to use that on you later, CT. We're just like wives. Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Steven, I'm smoking a Drew State Liga Privada.
Oh man, what a beauty! Yes.
How many? You were smoking that at the start. Is this like your third?
No, I'm not Martin, but it's just one of those things where I just kind of like smoke it, put it down, smoke it, put it down.
Okay.
What number? John, did you hear me mention I was a little anal, had a little OCD? This is my book of cigar labels.
Oh.
I have little tasting notes of the cigar, and I'm a little weird now.
So cool.
Hell yeah, man.
I've got all my cigar labels, or just about all of them. I go in and I store them because I got so many of these Glencairn glasses, and I've got them slam packed full. For one day, I guess when I retire, that's what I'm going to do when I retire. Is I'm going to create a book just like what you got.
It's great, and it's a reference. And I told myself when I started, then I'll know when I go to buy a cigar if I liked it last time I smoked or not. I just keep trying different cigars, but it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah,
it's
cool.
The history of smoking cigars retrospective, which is really cool.
Show them your.
Okay. Yeah, it's close. It's over by the barrels. I'll be right back.
John, what batch is, which number of that Liga is that?
Which number?
You said
52.
52.
52?
Yeah, okay.
T52.
99 just came out not too long ago. I haven't tried it yet.
How long
The number 99s,
have you been a whiskey
they're
connoisseur?
great.
Probably a little over 15 years,
Okay.
maybe a little longer.
So, what, as a blender, like going from a connoisseur to a blender, okay? So, you drank a lot of different whiskeys, obviously, before you started the brand and whatnot. So, your palate goes through periods of time where flavors become, like I always say, you pick up certain flavors at certain, like you might never have picked up chocolate before. When you're going through it, and all of a sudden you taste chocolate, or you might not have picked up butterscotch, and all of a sudden or cherry, and there's certain times, and then you find certain times of the year you start to pick up different flavors. As a blender, how does that work when you're picking up? Do you find that your palate picks up certain flavors at certain times, and how do you, I would say, like, combat it? Because if you're picking up tons of chocolate and everybody, you know what I mean, or you're picking up this or that.
I'll tell you, it's not simple, but, and it's a lesson I learned going to distilleries, right? Been to almost 100 or something distilleries all over the country, before, we were doing this. I learned it, I can't remember what the first time was, but I remember being in a distillery and I tasted whatever we were drinking, and I was like, in my mind, I'm like, this is terrible. I'm never going to buy this, right? And then somehow I ended up tasting that same thing, either in a different state or months later, or whatever. I'm like, and it was like, this is amazing, right? And it's at that moment, I'm like, you can never taste something once. It's not fair, right? What you had for breakfast, did you brush your teeth too soon? The weather, like you said, what's in the air that day. You got to taste something, to be really critical of it, I think you have to taste it multiple times. No matter how good your palate is, it can still be affected. And I think you got to taste it multiple times. And once you do that, then you're kind of, you've got a better sample size, and you can filter out some of what might have been influencing you at that time. And we do that with our products. We'll do a blend, and then a test blend in the lab kind of thing, and then we'll sit it overnight, sit it for a couple of days, come back to it, make sure we still are getting the same things, make sure we still love it the same way.
And in the short term, and I know it's small, 3 people, but with 3 of us, we can often filter that out a little bit. So if 2 of us get something and the third one gets, some crazy flavor that the other 2 of us don't get, we don't discount it, but we say, hey, let's revisit this, because you're getting something that doesn't make a lot of sense to the other 2 of us. If all 3 of us get the same thing, it's pretty, not 100%, but pretty high probability it's not some anomaly. But if one of the 3 of us gets something, we'll even ask, what did you have for breakfast? What did you just have a mint? What did you, blah, blah. We'll ask each other those questions. So that helps a little bit. Now there's other tasting blend teams that are 50 people, so they have a lot better chance to do that. But with 3 of us, it helps that if there's an outlier, we can isolate it and revisit it. But if all 3 of us agree or don't find something, we also feel pretty comfortable we're on the right track.
Well, I know other blending teams that are 1.
So one is scary.
3 times more than 1.
Yeah, 1 is scary for what we just talked about. 1. Now, I'm not saying they're not good. They're maybe even better than me, but it's scary for those anomalies. 1 is hard to find the anomaly. Troy's mentioning Super Nash. If you come, I've made my own menu of all the whiskeys that I own. A description of them. You get to peruse this. It has the name, the tasting notes. It's organized by region. So my own touch and feel menu that you can look through to pick your whiskey.
Okay, Nash, you need to get Jerry in here.
Do you see behind me here, Steve?
Yeah.
All right. In this room, and I've got them all the way as old as the 1950s, all the way up to, current Pappies and all the other stuff, everything in between, from all the way down to a $15 bottle up to,
Yeah.
couple $100 a bottle. Yet to be able to sit down and make a menu like what you do. That's inspiring to me.
My consulting fee for menu making is pretty reasonable, so you can hire me.
Okay,
Steve's also got.
Where Nash comes in to succeed, he excels immensely. So when I send a sample and I send it to the guys, this is what it looks like right there. See that? Right. That's my label.
Yep.
I write on it with the white erasable one so you can reuse the thing and everything, and that's it. And then if you look at, I'm sure if you look at CTs, it's smeared. But Nash sends the labels like this, which is insane.
Yeah.
Which is insane. I mean, we're talking about he puts the forecast is there. He's got the stuff. It's nuts how he does it. So,
Attaboy, Martin.
So he's the only person I know. I mean, okay, so there's that, and I'll just really quick. Here's a Shanks, and then let's go to a Bardstown. So what you need him to do is request, if he's coming, that he brings you 10 samples of his whiskey that you can taste. So you end up with a bunch of bottles like this, these mini bottles with the. I mean, it's crazy what he does with samples. I don't even know. I wouldn't even know how to start to do that.
So Steve has his wheel on his phone of all the whiskeys that he owns.
Okay.
It's hard to see there. But when you go there, you can spin the wheel, and whatever you spin, you get. But I found out early on, luckily, that Steve has two wheels. He has the wheel that moochers spin. He calls the moochers wheel. So if you show up empty-handed, you spin
Jack
the moochers
Daniel's
wheel.
single barrel rye, one of you just got.
Right.
Oh, wow.
But if you show up with something good, you get to spin the good wheel.
Wow.
Yeah, I definitely. So I made my collection is large yours. I've capped it at 200 because my wife would murder me if it got above 200. But over the years, there's always, if I get 201, I have to get rid of something. But I have another wheel that's only got 50 on it, and that's called the Moocher's wheel. And those are people who show up to my house more than 10 times and never brought anything. It could even be a bottle of beer. If they brought me and said, "Hey, buddy, thanks for all the whiskey you give me." If they bring 10 times in a row, they only get to spin the Moocher's wheel. The Moocher's wheel's got some good stuff. It's not crap, but it's not. There's no pappy on the Moocher's wheel.
Does that include Filmland in your 200? Or does that?
It's 200, and then one the pie is 201. One slice of the pie is Filmland, and then if you land on Filmland, I have another wheel. It's all the Filmland stuff.
Okay, all right. So she allows for more than 200 bottles because.
There's more than 200 bottles. Yeah, so there's a lot of backups. So there's probably 350 bottles in the house, but 200 unique entries.
Right, and Mary Lou is Steve's wife. Is very involved. She every year for Christmas she makes custom Filmland drink kits that are just elaborate beyond means. I was there this year before Christmas, and Steve's daughter and his wife were making them all up.
Yeah,
she's turned our coasters. She's turned our bottles into drinking glasses, like giant water glasses. She's turned them into candles. So
yeah,
very.
She's very understanding.
I raised my hand to be a part of that.
I think I have one of the candles here. Here's the candle with the Moonlight Mayhem 94 proof.
This is cool. Yeah.
So I obviously have a lot of empties.
What does it smell like?
This one is vanilla. Yeah.
You got to do
That's really cool.
One that smells like Moonlight Madness Moonlight Mayhem bourbon.
Well, so my wife doesn't drink alcohol at all. So the fact that this is a compromise. So the candles are for her. So
your wife has to talk to my wife, because when I started this, my wife hated whiskey. I mean, she wouldn't touch it. She was a white wine girl and whatever. She liked amaretto, but she just didn't. And now she's on the podcast, and she has a palate like no other.
That's awesome.
I'll
That's
come up and I'm
fantastic.
like, taste this, it's pretty good. And she's like, what the hell are you thinking? I'm just like, okay.
Well,
wife's the
physiologically
same way.
speaking, women have better palates.
Oh yeah,
than men.
Yeah.
we've
Much
done,
more
we've
right
done a
size.
podcast on that. Well, it's more like not that they have. So 31% of women have super palates. Only 17% of men have that. So
Yeah.
they just have double the amount, and they just talk about. I mean, we all know it's aroma, right? Right.
That explains it.
Because if you know what aroma is, if you can smell it and you know what it, then you know what it. You're gonna know what it tastes like. So that's the key. And not so much with the whiskey, with flavors that are within the whiskey. I mean, cardamom. How do you know what you're tasting cardamom if you don't even know what cardamom smells like, right? Or tastes like.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Hey, guys, does anybody else have any other questions for me? I really got to run.
No, I'm
Okay.
good.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Troy, so much, Troy.
I'm sticking around.
Everything you
Thanks,
shared
Troy.
with us, and look forward to seeing you in the future
That'd be great.
and everything that you do. Keep it up.
You too. Thank you.
See you later,
Yes, sir.
buddy.
Thank you so much.
Hey,
I'll stay for you guys as long as you need. So
Steve, I don't know that we touched on, so what did you do before the coming together with
oh
all?
yeah, that's right. We didn't do that. It's funny. That's normally how we start off, and we felt so comfortable with each other in the beginning. We didn't do that whole intro. Yeah. So I spent 30 years in corporate world. Financial training. I worked for a gigantic oil company and a gigantic pharmaceutical company, and was always in the finance field. And Troy mentioned in his intro, he mentioned Charlie, who's part of the blending team, and he mentioned the current other leadership team. But he also, if you remember, mentioned this guy that was his buddy that helped him get the idea off the ground, and he was a podcast host, and he kind of interviewed him. That man's wife worked with me at my last company right before I retired, and she had come. And that where I worked is about 2 miles from my home, and I was the social hub. So after work, I'd bring people over and show them that menu I showed you, or have them spin the wheel. And I have a big beer collection. I'm not a big wine drinker, but I have the same kind of thing, like 75 different types of beers that people can drink. So she saw that, and then her husband was helping Troy get this off the ground, and she said to Troy and her husband, "Hey, there's this guy that I know from work who you should show your business plan to. You should show your investment pitch to. Get his opinion on it." And that's how we met.
Right.
And in the beginning, and I'll never forget her words when she made the introduction is, "I want my husband and his buddy to show you this. Don't get involved in it. I don't want to ruin our friendship," is what she said to me. I met Troy and the other friend, and then eventually Charlie, and we hit it off interpersonally as much as we hit it off in terms of the whole business plan. And the thing that I really liked about them is whatever feedback I gave them from a stranger, they didn't take it as an insult, or they didn't take it as me telling them. They took it in the right vein. And over 3 or 4 meetings, them finding their business plan deck and their investor pitch deck, which were one and the same, but a little separate entities, I just really became closer to them. And then we agreed that I would join the team originally as just, so I invested some money in the company. I became the head of finance. And then Troy and I, he's like, I really want you on the blending team. I'm like, are you serious? Like, that's the coolest. I thought I was going to be doing a finance stuff. And I'm like, I would love to. And I did what I did know and what I didn't know. And he brought me along, and we started going to distilleries, and I bought the little the thing to kind of train my palate on Amazon and help myself with aromas and flavors and taste to train myself. And then in the early days, I probably was a little more shy. And then as we got along, I started getting a little more bold, and it kind of evolved from there. So it was a really fun way to get involved. Charlie and Troy knew each other for 30 years before that, and I had to ingratiate myself into their little clique, but we've all become really good friends.
So the wheel is what did it.
The wheel was a big part. The wheel and the I think his wife liked the menu more than the wheel. Some people like to turn the pages, and some people like the technology.
Yeah.
But
That's awesome.
I'm a big fan of the wheel because I use it every Christmas. I do a bourbon
Yep.
giveaway and sample giveaway and bottle giveaway and all that. And we encourage people to just do little things to get into it.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of the wheel.
Yeah, it's fun.
People's names on it and the bottles on it.
Yeah, I have. So that the one I showed you guys is every bottle I have currently available. I have 3 sub wheels, which is American whiskeys only, Scotch only, and then the rest of the world only, which are subsets of the big one. But if someone says, "Hey, I only want Scotch," they can roll the Scotch. I probably have 50 Scotches, 45 Scotches. And then there's Irish, Canadian, Japanese, Indian, Taiwanese on another wheel if they want to try something they've never had before. Or then if they're just like, nope, I like bourbon and rye. It's only bourbon and rye. Then I have a wheel for just American stuff.
I'm doing this. It's
That's
happening.
inspiring to me.
It's fun. Yeah.
I'm going to take a month. I'm not going to work. And I'm just going to do a wheel.
Well, you guys seem to have a lot more than I do. So
Oh,
it may take a little longer.
It's going to take, I'm going to have some help in going through mine and cataloging it.
It might take you 3 years, bro.